They printed it in textbooks.
No, what Zavita's saying makes a lot of sense. Think about this. It would be a lot easier to be a millionaire than to pretend you're a millionaire. Come on, that's logical. Just think about it. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Let me think about that.
Yeah.
No, I don't agree with that. It's pretty easy to pretend. Well, actually,
Gotcha.
So it is so because they said so?
I mean, it's easy to lie, but it's a different thing to pretend to actually put up a convincing pretense.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's why it's not working. That's why we figured it out, bro. Anybody that looks at it figures it out.
We all believed it, Zavita. It was one hell of a lie.
If you're too lazy to look at it, then it's on you. Because all you got to do is open your eyes. It's self-evident. And as a matter of fact, you don't even have to have an education beyond third grade to understand it. And if you can't take the time to understand something that's simple, then I don't know what to tell you, my friend.
Right. If you can understand how a Mentos can change your day.
You actually run an experiment of like measuring things along, it like they put like poles in the ground and they put several of them across a long way, and when they measure,
are you talking about Eratosthenes and the sticks and shadows fucking thing?
They don't get the measurements
years ago, bro.
You're talking about stripper clubs, dog.
What an idiot!
You're talking about strip clubs, poles. That's the only place there's a bunch of poles. Or a fire engine house.
Oh man!
I'm just saying.
Let's not call the gentleman an idiot yet. Zafita, or listening.
Zafita, if I show a kid that water lays flat,
I've said enough. I've said my piece.
The thing is, even a little kid would understand more than most of indoctrinated religion believers.
I'm going to have to go to bed because otherwise I'm going to have to mute this idiot.
You're trying to convert globers into flat earthers.
No.
That's wrong.
I'm trying to convince flat earthers that it's a globe because I want to go back. So here's a good one, Zavita. When you see a drop of water, it's curved. Duh. Water curves. Jeez. That's for free. You could throw it at them, or you could just say,
yeah. It has nothing to do with surface tension.
Are we still allowed to point out lies?
Who are you, Kavinja? Who's the guy who's got the profile? Flatter dates. So many of the. You agree that an Earth droplet has a curve?
Absolutely. You have to be blind not to see that.
A ball has curves. So much in the Earth is curved.
Our heads, watermelon. Absolutely, dude.
What part of the Earth?
Mentos round.
Actually, that's flat.
Your brain has
flat, and that everybody else claims is a globe.
I used to think since my hands were flat, the Earth was flat.
Meniscus. Don't forget meniscus.
Which water is curving, Zafida? The oceans, sea, lakes. Which one?
Yeah, let's not forget water tension and meniscus, please.
Zafidis, can I answer this for you?
I'm going to make
a bunch of little droplets.
Error, and I'm going to look like an idiot because I just don't really know my stuff.
No, you do not.
If you take a bunch of droplets of water that are curved and you put them together, they're still curved. Just a bunch of curved droplets. You hear me?
Just gets bigger.
Right, Zafida?
Zafida, no one here is ever going to think you're an idiot because we are and were idiots. We just realize reality.
Right. No one's going to ridicule you, especially
no one's judging you.
Yep. Especially when you come to the conclusion that...
I wanted to hear some of this so that I'd laugh, and that's my...
Talk to Flatterday. He's a freaking comedian, dude. Talk to him.
But my goal is to become a glober. That's I don't want to be a comedian anymore. I'm tired of this flatter stuff.
You said was to become a rapper, the world's best rapper. I mean, you're like top 80, dude. Top 80.
They're going to be here they're going to be knocking on my door any minute to sign the contract. I already I told my chick I have my stuff packed. I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? You could come with me or you could stay. You know what I mean?
Zafida, did you know that Flatterday was top 80 flat Earth rappers on the flat Earth?
Top 80.
Well,
And I
at
don't- and-
least
yeah, at least top 80.
maybe top 20, maybe top 5, maybe top
on the
10.
globe, top 10 on the globe, and top 80 on flat Earth.
Well, you said the other day that you were like top 18 in a in a
Yeah.
in a group of 12 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just divide
Anyways,
by
you're top
3, carry it
80.
over by 4.
You're top 80. You are top 80. This is not my opinion. This is fact.
I love your humor,
No, it's
Flatter.
fact.
You're a funny motherfucker, boy.
Zafita,
argue
talk
over
to
that 'cause
Flatter
it's
Day
numbers.
Saints. Just talk
Woo!
to
It's
the
numbers.
guy. Talk to him for a minute, please.
I like
What are they
your
saying?
tactics there.
Or talk
No.
to any one of us.
Yes,
We're here.
From one of my favorite YouTube channels.
I can't talk
What?
to you. Don't talk to me because I'll just.
Are
The
you making
picture
a
of the cat is
YouTube
I'll be mean.
video?
I'll be mean to you.
Favorite YouTube channels.
You have a YouTube channel, Jafita?
No.
Oh, I was
Um,
going to say I'll like and subscribe right now.
Technically, I think it's got like 5 subscribers and 3 or 4 like.
Well, I'd be your
screen
6th
captures
subscriber,
on it,
bro. You mean?
No, I don't. I don't really have them.
Dude, everybody,
You
let's
don't-
get Zafita to 1,000 subs by tonight or tomorrow. By tomorrow, you'll be at 1,000 subs tomorrow. All right? I'll make a globe song for you, even. You know? Dude, there's some really cool globe songs. There really is. Like, they're really cool. You know?
Can you spin a real quick one for us right now?
My
Yeah.
favorite's that Billy Joel song. We didn't start the fire. It's
Right.
all returning since the world's been better.
Day Saints is like you're trying to go back to globe. Is that like a statement on how
Yeah, dude. Because
How do I
I've
word
been having these migraines
you can't
every
go
day
back
now.
to globe no matter,
Bro,
no
no
matter
brains,
how
no
hard you
headache.
try because there's too much evidence that the Earth is flat?
Seriously, like, to give up all these migraines I have every day, I'd go back to being a glober, bro. You know what I mean? I'm all for the no brains, no headaches theory. Like, seriously, I'm about that. You know what I mean? Like, I have a splitting headache every moment, every waking moment. Dude. You know what I mean?
The no
You ever seen those old
brains, no
commercials? I've got a headache this big.
Oh, no brains, no headache. That's good.
Right? You're gonna see me when I'm an old man, and I'm gonna be having that little relief one, and I'm gonna be like, "It's flat. I can't get up."
Like
You know?
just because I think you guys are wrong and a little bit silly doesn't mean.
How do you know? You just said for yourself that you do not know. You don't have the knowledge that we're supposed to have. So how do you know that we're wrong? You can only know that someone is wrong when you have more information than the person.
Well, he said he thinks we're wrong, but I know I'm right. So
Yeah,
I guess
I know
we were
I'm
meant to be.
I'm positive you guys are wrong.
We're not.
Well,
I don't need much
if
knowledge.
being wrong is flat, then I can't be right.
Can you say precisely with can you say Zafita, can you say precisely with what we are wrong?
The idea that the Earth is flat and not a globe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Can you tell me now? Do you know why I'm here? What do you
You're
think?
here because you were
What-
born in Serbia like my grandfather.
No, I born in Yugoslavia, but that doesn't matter. I didn't born in Serbia, but doesn't matter. That I ask you, do you know? What do you think? Is a better question. What do you think? Why I am here? What is my best reason?
Oh, the purpose of existence?
No, I'm saying on this server.
What you mean? Why they're human beings?
It was an accident. But yeah, sorry.
Okay, I know that Earth is flat. Do you? Oh, the question is, what do you think? Why I know that Earth is flat?
Because you think.
But what I think? Do you know what I think? And that thing make me thinking that Earth is flat.
It's recursive. It infinitely recurses.
Did I
because
read
you
a
think,
list?
and the
Okay,
reason why you think is
Did I re-
because you think, and that is
Okay, great,
because
great.
and
Did
so
I
on.
read a book? Did I read a book? Did God send me a message? Did what's happened? What do you think?
I mean, if you read a religious book that was a literal word of God, then
You think that I realized like that Earth is flat?
You watch too many Hollywood
I
movies.
You know what makes a lot of people become a glober is that Miley Cyrus song. I came through like a wrecking ball.
No, it's interesting though that he used the term recursive. I've not heard that before by one of these Globers. But answer the question, Zafita. Saucer's asking you a question.
Yeah,
can you state the question again succinctly?
yeah. What do you think? Why I think that Earth is flat? Why is my reason to think that Earth is flat? What is your
I actually
opinion?
don't know. I
You
don't know why.
actually, do you want to know?
Yes, please.
Okay, there is no curvature in reality. You know, the sphere, what you're seeing in from NASA. You know, when you make observations, that curve should be there for the sphere, but there is it is every observation showing that there isn't any curve there.
Why do you think there's no curvature in reality? Why does a round ball not curve?
Why do you think
Because
there is?
great, you asked me a question. Because Earth has dimensions. Sorry, because of my English. You know, if some
Your English
if
is a lot better than my Serbo-Croatian Yugoslav.
Both of your Englishes is perfecto.
I poured
Yeah,
out some
great.
old English right now for your English, dog. You know what I mean?
my Italian,
All the
my
day.
I
Italian,
wish
my
You gotta put English on that cue ball.
my ability in my ancestors' language was as good as your ability in English.
You guys we're listening. We're hinging on you. We're like hanging on every. I'm hanging on every word of your guys' conversation. Continue, please.
okay.
Yeah.
They are
Okay,
saying
we've got
that
something happening here.
Earth has dimensions, you know, and it's big, really, really big. It's 25,000 miles. That's big, let's say.
There are other planets other than Earth that are bigger.
But,
Way bigger.
how do you know that?
It's observable.
You're
It's observ-
presupposing
it's a-
Earth is a planet.
It's observable. You can see something in the sky and say that it's bigger than Earth.
Measurements.
Measurement. How you measure planets?
Model reifications.
You measure it by observing it, by measuring it,
I don't know,
by
but
observing it.
You hold the tape measure up to your eye.
I'm gonna make the admission that you guys
Okay, but-
want me to make,
No,
and I'm not.
man,
I'm doing my best not to slip.
Just be
Flip up.
honest. We don't care what you say. We were like having a ball. We were like cracking. We were talking about stupid shit before you came here. We want to talk about serious flat Earth things.
Absolutely.
I think
I measured Earth by putting a tape measure up to my
It's
eye.
the same
watching
thing
the
that
beach.
other globers say, like the scientists who have
But
all
listen, I want to
agreed
I want to finish my.
peer-reviewed research about the
Yes,
existence of a solar system and the
that's great.
measurements of
That's
planets.
Zabhida, but that's not my reason why I'm here. I'm not because of science, because of planets, because of many years of studies. I'm not here because of that. I'm here because there is no curvature in reality. And I try to explain to you, not explain, to tell you dimensions, and now 25,000 miles. That means that big thing's 25,000 miles. That means then on 1 mile you have 8-inch drop, you know.
Okay, other flat Earthers, is there curvature in reality or not?
No.
Like an orange curve, bro.
I want to know if this is a general flat Earth thing or if it's relatively unique and such as
No one has ever been able to show us any. That's why we say it in reality there is no curvature.
or put like this, who from the ancient time till now measured curvature and which method was used, and we can do it. Yeah, we can find it that, and then we can go
Was
on.
it Galileo or was it one of those other
No,
astronomers?
no. It was not Galileo. What Galileo did? How Galileo measured
What did Galileo do exactly? Speed and velocity, gravity and free fall. Yes, that's right. He measured the gravity of the Earth.
Man, Columbo was the sailor, not the astronomer.
That's Colombo. He was a
Again, gravity. Again, blah blah blah. But we are 2022. Everyone who has the photo camera and go to the beach cannot find the curve. Why Columbo could find the curve and we cannot?
How does gravity work in flat Earth theory then?
What's gravity?
Gravity is how do you define gravity?
Yeah, you don't know to define gravity, but you will ask how that works.
As the universal force of attraction acting
How you
the size
unicorns
of the
work?
Earth.
The same question. How unicorns work on globe Earth?
Sorry, what?
How unicorns work on the globe Earth theory?
Unicorns.
Yeah, it is the same question.
Unicorns a mythical creature.
Gravity, it's a not proven theory.
Pseudo force.
Pseudo
Pseudo horse.
What I will repeat. Gravity is not proven theory.
Okay. Okay. What is the force that
What is
stops us from floating off of Earth into space? Then
what force? Tell me, does any force has unit?
if there was no force acting on me to keep me planted on Earth, I would float away.
Really?
I think so.
Why?
It's the laws of physics.
Laws of physics. Are you a bullshit?
What force does the helium balloon defy?
Well, helium balloon. What is a helium balloon?
Is it defying gravity?
It's not defying gravity. Gravity is acting upon it. It's just that its mass.
Is it?
Okay, can you tell us what gravity is?
Its mass is not enough. Is low enough that it floats away.
Give us any experiment that demonstrates the existence of gravity, please.
Okay, so you guys don't believe in gravity. Well, I'm not gonna.
No, I'm asking you. Give us an example of it. Give us an example of it.
Do you believe in unicorns?
No, I don't.
If you don't believe, why we need to believe in gravity then? You understand me? I'm not joking.
That's how a belief system works, man. Otherwise, it's not real if you don't believe it.
I want to know that gravity exists. I don't want to.
Just give us an experiment in which gravity is demonstrated to exist. That's all.
It would be
the Cavendish experiment. I'm sure you guys heard.
No, X wrong.
Yeah, come on.
What?
Vida, did you know that even the physicists don't know what gravity is?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Did you know that even the physicists doesn't know what gravity is? They can't define it. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson says he doesn't know what it is. So why are you bringing gravity up?
But again,
because I had to go with something, and that's what I came up with.
Zafida, let's say that gravity, exists. Let's say I believe in gravity. But what we will do now with curvature?
Define
how-
curvature.
Define curvature. It's a necessary antecedent for the sphere. Like, can you have aeroplane without wings?
Can you have a ball without curves?
Yeah.
Why does a ball exist?
Can you? Can you
What-
have
what
a ball without curves?
Can you have ball without curves?
No.
Why we have why is not curving then?
A ball, by definition, curves. It's the shape.
Yeah, but this one, in reality, doesn't curve. That's the problem. In
We
reality,
need proof of curvature.
All I have to do is show you a ball. That's proof enough.
yeah, okay. But listen, this: if I want to be photographer a long distance, can I be? Can I use that profession? Can I be that?
Why not?
Because if I shoot the photo of mountain on 270 miles, is that real mountain or is it some reflection in the sky?
Obviously, a real mountain.
That
Cool.
mean if I can make a photo of 275 miles straight line, what that mean? Do you know that on that 275 miles should to be drop, some kind of drop its curve?
There is
On this.
a drop.
If you are on the top of the ball is dropping away from you. Is that true?
Mm,
No.
yeah, it slopes away from you in all directions.
Yeah. That is not happening in reality. Especially with the water, because water is level.
Actually, it is. It's just on such a massive scale.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
that's I explained. I told. Listen, this is very important. I told you that scale is 25,000 miles, and when you do math, on every mile should be 8 inches of drop. That means on that 275 miles, he cannot reach that mountain. That mountain should be 3 miles under the, how to say, behind the curvature. He should. That is Guinness record of photo. The guy made the photo 275 miles. Do you understand me? And he shoot the mountain, and that mountain should be like 3 miles under the curve.
Sofita, can you prove curvature? You prove it to us.
I don't think I can prove it to you.
Zahida, did you understand me? That is the
Well, thank you for
scale.
being honest.
You can do it.
Of course, I believe in.
You cannot measure the planets, but you can measure the Earth. You can see the dimension of the Earth, and then you can go to the beach, and then you can find some object, island, whatever. Distance A, distance B, and then you will see how much distance is and how much.
I've got this. I'm curious now. I've got this Earth curvature calculator.
Great.
Tell me
Great.
how much of the object is obscured by the curvature of the Earth.
Yes, based on a 3959 radius spheroid.
That's your math. We didn't
create.
create that. That's your math.
Can
Do you understand that, Sofita? That's your math, the globe math. We didn't invent it.
This is the dimension of the sphere, man.
I didn't invent math. It's everybody's math.
Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is, it's
Globe.
based on the radius of. You know what the radius of the globe is?
I do.
Well, what do you think of that? What do you think of that Earth curve calculator?
I don't know. I'm not smart enough for this shit.
Well, you just saw it. You only realized it three seconds ago. So don't look at it. If you're interested, look at it. Do your own observations. See if what the model projects exists in reality. That's it.
I posted your picture in the voice text chat if you want to read from the text and look at the picture.
Live stream voice text.
Yep.
I saw this before.
Yeah, and
It's right above this voice chat. Just
Yeah, and Zafita, that is an image, a still from a video taken from a 1 foot observer site above the surface of the water.
you see the picture.
I'm looking at it. I'm staring at it.
And the platforms are there only for distance demarcations.
Where's the horizon on that picture, Davida?
It's in the distance between the
Define
sea.
horizon. What is horizon?
not
Zafita,
Do you-
what is
Let me
the
reverse
horizon,
image
Zafita?
pictures.
What?
Again, it's probably want
No,
something.
Zafita, what is the horizon?
It can't be defined in concrete terms. It's
It's not a
subjective.
trick question. The horizon is where the sky meets the ground.
There's no ground there. It's,
Apparent.
Well, the sea. Yes, where it appears to meet. Where is that location, Zafita?
In the gravy
on
ocean.
the picture.
Yeah, on the picture.
Is it before the platforms, in between the platforms, or behind the platforms? The horizon.
Okay, behind.
Great. Can we tell now that it's horizon 10 miles at least?
Oh, more than 10 miles.
Okay, great. Can you read the text now above the picture?
Welcome to Flat Earth, Davida.
No, I don't think so.
Zafida,
DJ's taking a quest.
Zafida, can you read the text? But read on what can we hear, or I can read it.
Okay, if P then Q, not Q, what the fuck does that even mean? Therefore, not
Okay.
P. What the fuck
Read.
does that mean?
But read,
If
okay,
Earth is
you will
a
understand.
sphere- Okay, if Earth is a sphere with radius 3,959 miles, then every horizon distant measurement must be no more than 1.225 times square blah 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 blah. U horizon distance.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
No, it doesn't. I can't make sense of it.
Well, punch
It's
it
a logical
into
statement.
the
It's a
curve
logical
calculator.
statement, right? Computer programmers use it. If this, then that kind of thing. So
That's simple. I can, yeah.
what it is it's debunking the radius of the Earth. Using the math, right? Using geometry at 1 foot high, the physical geometric horizon. Do you know? I mean by that, the physical geometric horizon. Avida.
What about it?
That's the point.
You know what a physical geometric horizon is?
No.
Right, on a ball, yeah. So you've got a basketball in your hand, and you're looking at it. There's an edge, right? The physical edge to that basketball, yeah.
Well, the edge is all around it. It's got.
Yeah, as you're looking at it, you can't see further. You can't see below the physical edge of that ball, yeah.
No, and nor can you with Earth.
Zafita, if there was an ant crawling on the basketball, can you acknowledge that if the ant was walking away from you whilst you were holding the basketball, that eventually it would go over the curve and you would no longer see it? That's what we're talking about. A geometric horizon of a sphere.
Okay, yep. I'm with you.
So on that picture, yeah. according to your math, the globe math, and the radius they've given us, that is impossible because at 1 foot, the camera is, the physical geometric horizon of your globe should be at 1.2 miles. Understand that?
There's got to be something wrong with this math.
No, it's all based on the 3959 spheroid radius that of the model. That's what's wrong with the math.
It's a formula to calculate. It's a formula to calculate the horizon. You know where the horizon should be.
The 3959 number was not made up. The calculator, as crazy as it looks and calculates, that is what they claim reality is, according to the 3959 radius model. It's not reality. That's why it looks so absurd.
You're definitely not reality.
I need to ask a Globo who knows how to explain this.
We just did. We just explained it to you, Savita.
There's no other explanation, dude.
Yeah, flat earthers are also globers. We were.
They are saying one word for this, but that word will not help.
The math, the math is very simple. It's like kindergarten level math. If you understand geometry, what geometry is, Avida?
Zafida, you are the most honest person who's come to the server in ages.
3,959 miles. Hang on. Seems.
959 miles is the radius. Is that what you're saying?
If that's the radius.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, Gravy Man.
So that's half the perimeter or whatever you call it. Diameter. The diameter. If you send a ship,
half of it, because let's look at here.
Around the Earth,
diameter is double.
It will travel double the radius to get back to the same point. Of course, there's no line that a ship can actually go because there's land in the way. Or a plane. A plane flying around the Earth, it will, as long as it had enough fuel, which no real plane does, but anyway, it'll come back to the same point.
Who is the one giving the number of... So the diameter of the Earth around the center is 7,917.5. I don't know who the fuck is saying
what
it's
planet
900.
are you from, Gravy Man? Hey, Gravy Man, what planet are you from?
I'm a part of the none of your goddamn business planet.
Yeah. What's the circumference of the Earth, of the globe?
Mass there. You've got some bad maps.
Yeah. Gravy Man, what's the circumference of the globe?
You're talking to a physicist here, man. A full-on PhD physicist. Thank you very much.
Great.
Awesome. You've been schooled in bullshit.
Then you should understand what we're saying, Gravy Man.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but here's the thing: is
what?
Hey, I'm going back to learning basic geometry here.
We were having a nice conversation with Sophia.
Let me change the topic.
Trillions of miles diameter.
Let me just change the topic for you. No. Let me change the topic entirely so you can understand something. What happens when you put a bunch of boards, the same entire level, with the same exact hole in that, and then you shine a laser pointer through every single one of those holes? Will the laser pointer exactly go through all the holes perfectly at the same level, or will it drop a little bit because
Well, you said they're all at the same level, so
But no,
They're
no, no.
level.
I'm asking if they would, or would they actually drop a little bit due to a certain thing called curvature? Would they, or
cares,
would they
man?
not?
Who cares?
No, we've
something we
done,
can drop.
flat
No, no, no,
earthers
no,
have
no,
done
no, no,
laser,
no, no,
laser
no, no, no,
tests.
no, no, no,
Listen,
no, no.
listen,
If
listen.
they drop due to a certain amount of curvature, because
They
of
don't
the fact
drop.
you have the planks of woods at
They
the
don't
exact
drop.
same height with the
They don't
laser
drop.
pointer, they do, because you guys even
surface
did that
drop?
experiment. You
Oh,
guys
listen.
even did that
Does the
experiment.
laser stay collimated? Does the laser stay collimated enough to be able to pass through all the subsequent boards?
Yes. It's you guys did this
Incorrect.
experiment.
Incorrect.
You
Do you
guys
know what
did this
attenuation of light means?
experiment.
Do you know?
did.
Do you know what attenuation of light is, or beam divergence?
Gravy man, can you explain to me how the math is bad? Because I'm sure the math is bad. Just want to know how. I've got a headache.
Unfortunately for him, Zafita, he asked a different question.
While he's talking.
No,
But
sorry,
we-
change
But
the-
you guys don't want to answer my question because the fact
Do you
is,
get all your learning,
Trying
Gravy
to.
man?
They're
Gravy
trying
man, do you
to.
get all your learning from Netflix?
we
Is that how you learn? Is
I
about
get all my
learning
learning from
through
my
Netflix?
own mathematics. Thank you very much.
Incorrect.
Gravy
Incorrect.
man,
What you just
Thank you,
described
thank you very much.
is
Gravy man,
Netflix.
Gravy Weaver on the Black Swan. Do you have maybe some explanation for that?
Flex phone.
Gravy man, you want to go in a
Yeah,
voice call, just
We
one
were
on one?
speaking about photo on the voice text chat about 10 miles horizon. Do you want to explain that maybe?
The what horizon? Well, do you not see a curvature in the
Yeah,
horizon when you're standing in the middle of nowhere?
Nope.
I mean, how about the
and
lasers
listen,
out in Antarctica that they've proven that they can literally like use lasers to actually do the.
To fight
What
each other.
about the fact that you can actually fly out
Your script is weak.
into space
Gravy
and
man,
literally
your
fly around
script
it?
is weak.
How far can you paint the
You asked
target?
a question.
Military.
Why not listen to the answer?
Yeah, you're obfuscating all over the
I'm
place,
listening
man.
to the answer,
Let's stay in the
and I
5
hear a
minutes.
whole lot of bullshit. That's what I
I'm
hear.
ask-
I
I'm
hear a whole
asking-
lot of blah blah blah,
Gravy,
blah blah blah, and a bunch of bullshit because you guys
You
think
mad, bro?
that you have
Hello.
answers.
blah blah blah.
You
I'm
mad,
not
bro?
angry.
Blah blah blah.
If I'm angry, I'd be yelling.
Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah.
But you guys, look at that. You're just saying blah blah the entire
Gravy
time.
man, you're doing
He asked a
exactly
question.
the opposite.
Let him answer.
Gravy man, I'm a glober. I'm going to stay a glober. I'm confident in that. But you've come in here and did the opposite of what I planned to do.
Plan to do.
Intended.
He's just saw that he spent so much time and money on a bullshit career and a bullshit education, man. Don't blame him.
Oh no, I don't have a bullshit
I
career.
just want to do
My
my
entire
underground
career is
stuff.
engineering,
Get a job
and
that's
That's
about-
I
great.
make probably more money than a lot of you guys here anyway.
Yeah, that's great, man. Listen, that's great. Let's go back.
It's all gravy, man.
Let's talk Black Swan. Can you explain what horizon time further?
It's a really good question. If an ant crawling across the basketball goes past the edge of where you should be able
So
to
let me explain this.
see it anymore.
What happens
How
if
come-
I
how come
decide that I want to
the
sail?
oil rig doesn't
Your
just
script
appear
is
as well?
weak.
How far?
We're having
far
a
does the oil
conversation
rig
here.
have-
Thanks
I
for
am
your
right now.
input.
I am right now having a conversation. The conversation is if I
Speak.
decide
Someone was
to
speaking.
take a boat
Someone was
okay,
speaking,
at
Gravy.
the
Let him
at
finish.
the end of the earth, what happens to me? What happens to me if I take a boat and I start sailing at the end of the earth?
What end?
No one's ever been there. So it's a rhetorical question. We don't know what is beyond the south 60th degree. Well, we put it this way: we're not allowed to travel independently to explore beyond the 60th degree south latitude line. You're not allowed to take fuel. You're only escorted to one escarpment off of some little
But they've already
peninsula,
proven that,
and then
though.
they put out a little ceremonial pole and tell you that you've reached the south. So when it comes to this place, what we're actually asking for is tangible.
That's already been proven.
So
We've
the
had-
Netflix documentary, which you've based your entire
I
worldview
mean, I can
on,
literally
which
just
showed a
bring a
couple of
boat right
boards with
now,
holes in it. Let
hop
me just
on
finish my
fucking
sentence,
Japan.
Gravy. Gravy.
So
Let me finish.
how come people
Gravy,
from
let me finish my
Japan?
sentence.
Rumpus.
Gravy. Is
How
there a
how
mod
come
in the
from
room?
Can someone mute him?
Yeah, I'm about
Is
to.
there a mod in the room, please?
Yeah, he's muted. So this
He
is how.
arrived because there
One
was an
second.
actual conversation taking place.
1 second. So this is how we're going to do this, right? We're going to let each other speak. So Flat Earth Solar was about to tell you something, Gravy Man. Oh, he's muted himself, deafened himself. Oh, so Flat Earth Solar is going to explain to you, right, Gravy Man? Oh, let me help him out. Let me help him out.
He's behaving like a child. It's
Yeah,
that's
so
disgusting, I think.
I just booted him out of the. Yeah, we can move to Zafida. Maybe he has questions, or I heard him say something. Yeah, Gravy Man is back. I hope he can listen to the answer that Flat Earth Solar is going to give him. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Rog.
No problem.
Very short, very concise. The Netflix documentary that you were describing with boards and holes in them. So now he's muted. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to kick him out of the room every time he's doing that.
So that experiment that Jeranism attempted to do, he spent countless months asking for input from people. Then he made holes in these boards, bought a collimator to try and recollimate the light, because light always diverges outwards. And over a 3-mile stint, effectively the light diverged, causing the final board to be completely immersed in light. The disingenuous documentary used him saying interesting, and that seems to be sufficient cause for you to think that there was curvature in 3 miles. Subsequently, we've done laser experiments at 30 miles. When you start looking into military applications, they can paint a target up to 100 miles away with a laser. So if there was curvature at 3 miles, like you insinuated, then those laser tests or painting a target at 100 miles away would simply be impossible, which is why then Sasha tried to bring you back onto the Black Swan, which is the definitive evidence that your radius is wrong, where we have measured that the radius value is more than 10 times further than what it's claimed to be on the sphere Earth. Gravy Man, now you may respond.
Okay, 1 second. Here he goes. You've been unmuted, Gravy Man.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, what about Pearl Harbor? People from Japan flew over and attacked us from Pearl Harbor. At the time,
Aircraft
jet
carriers.
planes
Aircraft
aircraft carriers were not
Aircraft.
possible to go the whole way around that entire time.
Yeah, you fell for an anti-flat Earth meme, right? So let me pull up the actual.
Let me just stop you right now. I'll just mute your ass because you want to mute my ass. So I'm going to say this right now. That the fact of the matter is that Japan did not actually really.
No, you did not do that.
So I'm gonna pull up the chart, the actual map that was. Let me pull it up.
So,
Notice again how he can't stick to answering anything about the question. He obfuscates to a completely different subject.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, we can move to another guy. Zafida, maybe you have a question?
Okay, you got a basketball, you got an ant. You look at the basketball, you look at the ant. The ant crawls away from you. And it goes over the edge. You can no longer see an ant.
Okay, cool.
Okay, same example. Let's take an ant. Let's take an ant and make him walk away on a flat surface. At what distance does the ant become invisible?
No, there's
Just a flat
apparently there's a
surface.
formula for it. I don't know.
Do you wear glasses? Do you sometimes need something to assist your eyes to be able to see something, or your eyes start to lose focus on something? So if an ant walks away from me, and eventually I can no longer see it. It has to have gone over a curve, right? It can't just be that my eyes can no longer resolve the tiny ant at 10 meters or 20 meters or 40 meters away from me. Point being that an alternative explanation for the same effect does not make your description of an ant walking around the outside of a basketball be the only cause of you not being able to see the ant any longer, right? True or false?
Again, sorry.
I said that sometimes there are alternative explanations to the same effect. You said if an ant walks around or over a basketball and then suddenly disappears, insinuating that if an ant walks away from me and I can no longer see it, it has to be a curve. So then I say on a flat surface, at what distance does an ant become invisible again?
On a flat
Maybe
surface.
20 meters, 30 meters. Can you see an ant from 50 meters away?
On a flat surface, it
on a
depends
road,
on many
your
many
flat
different
road outside your
variables.
house.
Yeah,
And
there's
can you
lots of
see an ant? Can you see an ant 40 meters away from you on the flat road outside your house?
Well,
It's very simple. Yes or no? Can you see an ant at 40 meters away from you on a flat road? Yes or no?
if I use binoculars, yes.
Correct. So it's optical. So if you use something which enhances the optical ability, you can then bring it back into view. And that's subsequently the experiments that we've done at Oceans, where we take out our binoculars and we see that the ship that appeared to have disappeared into the distance can now be fully resolved again. The full resolution of the image can be recaptured. And once it now goes out of view with the binoculars, I can then take out my P900 and which has a greater optical zoom, and I can zoom that object back into focus.
Okay, at what point can you no longer?
So, as I mentioned to you, asserting that an ant can only disappear because of curvature is false, because an ant can also disappear simply due to distance away from your eyeball. And then what we're talking about now is called the Rayleigh criterion. It's actually 1.22 times by the diameter of the aperture of the lens. So the lens in this case being your eyeball, or the binocular lens, or the camera lens, it is governed by the size of the aperture. The hole that lets the light in will determine the distance at which something becomes unresolvable, which means it's an optical phenomenon causing objects to disappear at distances based on aperture size. Rayleigh, Reileghh. Rayleigh criterion is the scientific name for why things disappear in the distance. And as Gravy Man was asserting just now, but something disappears in the distance, that must be curvature. Incorrect. It's the resolution limit of the eyeball or the binoculars or the camera, whatever the size of the aperture is, will determine at what distance that object will disappear. Does that make sense?
All right. Let's say the ant walks behind a wall. Can you still see the ant through the wall from behind the wall?
Of course not. Of course not. Correct.
Because the light doesn't.
And if the ant was behind a wall, could I bring out a binoculars and bring it back into view?
No.
Correct. And could I bring out a bigger camera lens and bring it back into view?
No.
No. Correct. So if it's been physically obstructed, no amount of optical enhancement can cause it to come back into focus.
Now, a curve
Yet-
can do the same thing, because if you go far enough from where you're observing to where the object is, light will not bounce between the optical device, whatever it is, and that object, because it's obscured by the curve.
It's
But there is
assumed
no curve.
to be a curve. Yeah, you go, Rog.
Yeah, there's no curvature, never been measured. So I assume you've seen the Black Swan image. Have you seen that one?
I was wondering why. I was actually sort of playing devil's advocate, wondering why the other oil rig isn't disappeared. If it should be obscured by the curvature, but clearly it's not.
Well, there is
must
no
be.
curvature, right? So if we go about with the,
I don't accept that that's the only explanation. I think something's wrong with.
So
You're
water lays flat and level in rest, right? We use water to build gigantic structures and roads and bridges, right? We use water levels. So water lays flat and level in rest. When we measure over large bodies of water, like lakes or oceans, it measures flat.
And water covers 70% of the surface of this place.
So I don't know why you would say, well, I don't accept that. There must be another thing. Is it because you want it to be a ball?
But he said that he doesn't accept that that's the only explanation, but yet he's asserting the only explanation can be curvature. So the only one asserting that there's only one explanation.
Oh no! I fully accept that if something's way far away on a flat surface,
it will become unresolvable.
And Zafita, this image isn't it isn't unique. There are many. In fact, you'll be hard pressed to find an image that depicts a geometric horizon at that distance.
Yeah, a 6 foot observer height. So if you're 6 foot or close to, the horizon can be no further than 3.6 miles away from you. Now, if you've ever stood anywhere in your life and looked at another town that's 10 miles away or 20 miles away, or you can see a mountain range at 100 miles away, you have just disproven the assumption that the horizon has to be at 3 miles away from you, always, because you're on this curving ball that curves in all directions, left to right, as well as out in front of you, as well as behind you. The horizon can be no further than 3 miles if you are standing upright and you are 6 feet tall. Are you looking in the voice chat, in the live stream voice text?
Yes.
Are you in that channel? Okay, great. So if you look up at the Black Swan picture, where do you see the horizon? Is it in front of the oil rigs, between the oil rigs, or past the last oil rig?
Past the platform habitat.
Correct. So what we've basically done here, this picture comes from a video. So once again, we know that people are not going to just simply accept an image. So there is a whole video linked to this, whereby the guy shows that he's placed the camera down at 1 foot observer height. So he's literally right in the ocean, got his little tripod with the camera just 1 foot above the water, and then he films down, he shows you exactly where he's standing, and then he zooms out to these objects. Now, using the mathematics generated by the spherical model, They gave us the numbers of 8 inches per mile squared based on a radius value of 3959, which is what we're told. If I write that in a test, I get marks. I get full marks if that's the radius value. So based on that radius value, there has to be this curvature present. And if I lay all the way down on the Earth, that's where the curvature is going to be most noticeable at the shortest distance. So in this image, the horizon should have been at 1.22 miles, which means the first platform, Hill House, should have been already obstructed by the hard horizontal line that we call the horizon. And the horizon is a horizontal line. And if you go look up the definition of horizontal, it'll usually be level or at the zero. It's completely level. You don't have a diagonal line being horizontal. A horizontal line is a level line. And that level line should be obstructing the first platform. So why this is such a nail in the coffin display is that that second platform is 9.4 miles and it's not even being obstructed yet. Then the horizon, which we can see, which is way past that, we've just assumed, let's say 10 miles to be conservative, because that horizon distance could be 12, could be 13, could be 14 miles away. But we're just saying, make it 10 miles. Then that means that the radius value of the Earth would need to be over 200,000 miles, not 3,000 miles, like we've been told. Would have to be over 200,000 miles, which is effectively the distance to the moon. What we've been told is the distance to the moon, is the discrepancy that this one picture shows between the model we were all taught at school, that we're living on the sphere with a radius of 3959, and when you actually go into the real world and do observations yourself, you will see that it never comports. It never correlates.
I'm slowly starting to recall somewhere on YouTube I came across an explanation why we can still see things in the distance, even though the spherical model suggests that they're obstructed. I think it's got something to do with
I think it will be in any
Very clear.
it will be in any scientific book written like this phenomena. It's a moving horizon, and I will read about that book, about that scientist, how he realized about that phenomena is doing that. Not YouTuber, not YouTube channel, something,
Well, maybe I could just quickly ask him a question using a practical example, if you don't mind.
I just wanted to help them out. I just wanted to help him out with what he was looking for.
I just wanted to tackle the illogical thing with the whole light bending.
Sure, he was very polite. Hold on. He was just very polite to listen to me explain things. But all I wanted to just say to him was what he was asking for is either refraction. I think he might be thinking that refraction causes us to see further, or that it's miraging, that when we see things in the distance, it's actually a mirage. That could be what you think you're referring to. And if you want to chat about that just now, let this other guy finish his point.
Right. So I was just going to give us a little practical example. Say there's you and another person, and there's like a physical hill in between you. You can't see each other, right?
Okay.
As far as the example goes. Because this is basically what the globe is claiming, right? Between point A and point B, there's a physical hill, a curved body of water or land, whatever. So now you have these two observers on the opposite sides of the hill. The hill's in between them. Do you think that it's possible for light to bend in such a manner, or for a mirage to happen, or whatever, that you will see the hill appear behind the other person that's behind the hill? You think that could ever be possible?
No.
All right, fair enough. But this is essentially what they have to claim when they want to say refraction explains this image, right? Because the horizon is supposed to be that physical obstruction, that physical blocking of whatever's behind it. So in order for whenever refraction happens, you say, well, okay, the light's changing its angle because you have, different densities over the water, temperature gradient, you have turbulence in the air, there's all kinds of stuff. But all that would happen is, and if you look at like Skunk Bay time lapse, you can see this very clearly. All that would happen is things would appear to be displaced upward or down, right? They appear to go up and down a little bit. But, that doesn't mean that the obstruction is now going to appear behind what it's obstructing. It could only mean that some of the objects should now be visible or none of it, because it went even higher, right?
Correct. And going back to the black swan example, why we say 10 times further? 10 times is effectively 1,000%. So we're getting 1,000% discrepancy. When you go and look up the definition of refraction, refraction is said to account for 10% difference. So if we saw the horizon should be at 1.22 miles, and then we saw the horizons actually at 1.32 miles, that would be the 10%. But if we're seeing the horizon appearing past 10 miles when it should be at 1 mile, that's 1,000%. And 1,000% cannot be explained by a 10% difference in refraction. Make sense?
Okay.
So what is
Brownie,
fascinating is that the refraction value that they've known that we see too far for way too long. They even asserted that there's something called terrestrial refraction, whereby they increase the radius of the Earth. They say, all we need to do is take this measurement and times it by 7/6r. So effectively making the radius 1/6 larger to try and account for some of these observations which we're seeing the Earth be too big. Now, the radius value is so precise, they give it to us in 3959 and 59 miles. The 59 miles is very precise. It's not and 60 or 62 or it's 3959. They claim they have measured this. Firstly, if you wanted to measure a radius of anything, you would have to go to the center of the circle and measure to the outside of the circle. Nowhere in any recorded history has any person been to the center of the Earth. To corroborate the assumed radius is accurate. But what we've done with a single photo like this, and thousands of other demonstrations, if you're interested, we've shown that the radius never corresponds with their mathematics. So if the radius value is inaccurate, the radius value is what's used for all orbital dynamics. How we put airplanes, how we put satellites up, how the Earth turns around the sun. It's all measured in astronomical units, AUs. And those astronomical units are based off of a presupposition that the Earth has a radius of 3959. And the rest of that model is built around that value. So if that 3959 is false, it starts to crumble. The rest of the assumed, like if you use an assumption and that assumption is flawed, everything else you're going to postulate afterwards is also flawed.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
I hope that's clear for Safida. I want to give Gravy Man another chance. So he wants to make a statement and then we can look at it. Gravy Man, you're unmuted.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't want to hear what I'm saying anyway.
Yeah.
You muted
I
me,
do.
muted me in the middle of my actual statement
Okay, so
of what I was saying.
wait is okay. So instead of complaining, right? Bring out your statement now.
I mean, it doesn't
Go ahead.
matter.
Go
You
ahead.
wanted to mute me in the
But
middle
if it doesn't
of
matter,
what I was
if it
saying.
doesn't matter, you can
Okay,
go right back
I'm
on
going to
mute
say this
and
right
stop
now.
complaining.
If you
Okay.
guys
Make
are
the statement
not
or stop
willing,
complaining, dude.
if you guys are not willing
Move
to
on.
hear what I said the
We,
first time
we
around,
unmuted you.
and I
We're willing to
mean,
hear. So
Say
tell
it.
us.
it doesn't
Can you
matter.
say it?
And tell us.
Can you say it? Can you say it? Gravy, can
I
you
could
say
have
it?
earlier, but I don't fucking
Okay.
care now because
Can you
it
say
sounds like
it?
you guys are
Can you say
closed-minded.
it? Can you say
Right.
it
Gravy
now?
man,
Can you
please.
say it? Say it.
I don't fucking care now.
Okay.
Why
Please.
can't
Oh,
you
that's
see
good. Okay,
Platform
bye-bye.
Habitat and Platform Healer House
I'm just
over
saying
6
when
miles away?
you silence somebody,
You should.
it's like you're being the
Oh, you
government.
wanted to say
So
that.
this
You came
is
to
not
here
your
to say
house.
that.
One second, Sasha. This is not your house, Gravy Man. I've unmuted you to give you the opportunity to yield the floor to you to bring out your statement. Yet you choose not to and complain and throw out accusations, right? This will be your last chance. So either you will bring out your statement and we can look at it, or you're gonna be muted.
Yeah, he
So what
doesn't
will it
care.
be, Gravy
I
Man?
wasn't
And
throwing out accusations. When I'm in the middle of a statement and someone tries to talk over me, is one thing entirely.
And when you do that
That
to them,
is
when
entirely
they're
not acceptable in my opinion. It
and
is
when you do
very
that
much
to them,
one-sided opinion of thinking that you can kind of talk over people. It's like a dictator trying to silence those
This is not
that
your
don't have the
house,
same
Gravy
opinion.
Man.
It
This
might
is
not
not
be
your
my
house.
house.
Here, can I try
So
for a second? Can I try with Gravy
all,
Man? Let's see if I
sure.
can.
all we wanted was a cordial discussion, a backwards
And
and
I
forwards.
was trying to give you
And
discussion, and then you talked over me.
Okay, Gravy, listen, ready? Let's just say all that's true. Can you
It
still
was.
add your. Okay, it's all true. Everything you just said is true. Can you now add your ideas to the conversation? Yes or no?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, there we go. The problem solved.
Because it doesn't matter when you talk over someone. I feel disrespected, hardcore.
Gravy Man,
Like I do.
you
I try to bring an actual conversation to the table.
nothing about your behavior today has shown any respect for the room or any person talking in the room.
I was in the
In the
middle of
last
talking.
discussion, I'm mid-sentence, Gravy. I'm mid-sentence.
Okay,
You
go
just
for it.
explained how that was very disrespectful. Okay? I don't talk forever, and I make a long pause at the end. That means you can talk when it's quiet.
Yeah.
All right? We put you on mute. We had a good conversation with another person where it went backwards and forwards. Each person gets a chance to make their point. Then the other person gets a chance to rebut.
Yeah, but I
That's
never
just called
actually
being
finished my
cordial.
point.
No, we've asked you twice to finish your point, and you're sulking now like a 16-year-old.
Well, no, I'm not sulking. I'm more of the fact of the matter is you just jumped in the middle of when I was talking.
No, you did it now.
I did it now to show you how what you did to me.
Yeah, that's great. Can we have some reasonable conversation? Let him finish, then you can go, and then he go.
Well, it
and
doesn't
then
matter
go.
if you're going to jump in the middle of me.
No, I'm
when
saying
I
because I'm
talk.
listening. I will shut up. I'm listening. But can he finish? Okay.
I'm going to let a lot of people know about this shit.
How disrespectful is it when someone responds to you like I did, where I explained to you Jeranism's experiment over 3 miles, and then I explained to you that we've got laser experiments at 30. Now we've got military applications that target over 100 miles away using the same lasers that would be completely obscured if there was actually curvature in between. And then you started talking about Pearl Harbor. Do you think that that's respectful?
Looks like he left.
And he runs.
Yeah, the Pearl Harbor thing, I mean, that was ridiculous because it's just an internet talking point, you know? Like, make fun of flat earthers. How did Japan bomb Pearl Harbor? He doesn't even know what he's mad about. He's just mad. He's just angry about something, and he can't even articulate what that's about. Who can help him? He needs to help himself first.
He didn't want to listen. This was the great point. He explained now the second time everything, and he went out. That's it. Okay, great. You're not here to speak about.
I was just listening on live stream, and he was like, "I'm going to let everybody know about how I was disrespected, even though he didn't bring any really solid points.
I have a question.
It's fucking hilarious.
I have a question, Zafida. Zafida, sorry. What do you think about this guy? What he brought like a point that we can. He said
He
Pearl
didn't
Harbor.
bring any point. I was hoping he was going to bring a point, but he was just a tosser who's just angry.
There you go. He's a tosser.
at
Yeah, I
the
agree with
people having different views than him.
As a
That's an
feeder.
That's
no
an English term, right? Tosser, right? He's a tosser.
Yeah.
A queen.
What does that mean?
Like,
because I'm not British. What is tosser?
a drama queen.
I think you know what tosser means.
Yeah, I know. I'm just.
Tosser is-
I just wanted to hear you explain it.
No, another question, Zafida.
Masturbation.
Do you think that we?
Helio, you mean someone who jerks off?
You're holding an object in your hand. You want to throw it away from you. What's that called? A toss. Now you take the same motion and repeat it back and forth.
That's brilliant.
While holding a.
Hey, Zafida, I just wanted to say
That
something.
happened to be the correct answer too, I think.
Oh God, I didn't mean to disrupt everything. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there. Go ahead.
This is for all you guys. I'm trying to raise up this money.
I still
These
have
are
a
really
question.
cheap.
I still
This will
have a
support
question.
the Flat Earth and the Globe community. I'm going to post it in the live stream. This is something serious. Jackie's selling them. We're trying to raise up money for the dog. So you guys just take a look. Back as you were. I'm just saying. Check out these if you're interested in buying them. Hit us up.
Where'd you post it?
All right.
I just put it in the live stream
You
right now.
are observing at ground level, and an object is 3,960 miles away. If you have a powerful enough optical device, will you be able to see that object?
Oh, I think I got this. Okay, so you're saying with a part.
There's.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, ready? On the globe model, they tell you, okay, the guy who invented this thought experiment, his name is Rumpus. He said with a powerful enough telescope and enough refraction, two things, you would be able to see the back of your head on the globe. Now, on the flat Earth, you couldn't, because there's going to be atmosphere, there's going to be other things in the way that will be a physical block from how far you see. There just won't, like looking through water, like if you've ever been scuba diving or you ever been in a pool and like you look up and you can see all the way across to the whole backyard. You dive under the water, you can't even see the end of the pool anymore. No amount of telescopic, vision will let you see the other side of the pool. There's just too much water. There's too much stuff in the way to be able to see the other side of the pool. Same thing on Earth. There's too much stuff in the atmosphere to see the other side of the pool.
Yeah, such as mist, fog, rain, dust particulates, pollution, anything that could cause some kind of optical interference. They call it opacity. Same thing like when you go down in the ocean. You can only have visibility for so far because eventually the water starts to distort your vision or limit the amount of light that can return back to your eye to be able to see something under the ocean. Then we know that the air contains humidity. So there is a percentage of that same refraction occurring due to the water, let alone all the other things in the air that can cause something to disappear in distance.
Yeah, I got a question related to this. So I just got up like early, before, well, not right before sunrise, but I just tried to do an observation over 3 miles with a Nikon P900, and I just had a question. There was a lot of this distortion going on with the humidity or something. The temperature is very close to the water, though, and that's what I was told is the best way to do this. And I was just trying to figure out would it be better if the sun wasn't shining to be able to get like clear conditions to be able to see further across this water? Because I couldn't see further. Well, I guess part of the problem is probably because there's this bridge that goes over, and like there was like a mirror image of the bridge reflected on the water, and I feel like that caused a lot of distortion because the bridge is about 1.5 miles across from where I was standing, and I was trying to do 3.5 miles. So, is there a way to eliminate this, like certain conditions I should be looking out for to get out there and be able to see further across, and less of that distortion from evaporation and humidity and stuff like that?
You would have to repeat that same observation many times over. Cold, right? If it's cold, you can usually see further.
Yeah, I was thinking about waiting, trying when the ice freezes, like right after it freezes, but before there's snow, and so it should be pretty easy to do that. And yes, I know multiple times for the same observation. That is my plan. But today I was trying to go out and get like a baseline, and I couldn't even see the markers that I put under the bridge. That's 1.5 miles. And I know they're there, and I know you can see them, or I should be able to see them. But there was just so much distortion from, like I said, like the reflection of the bridge on the water, and it was causing a lot of, maybe I need to just find a different lake completely to do this, but I would like to do it because it's my hometown, and it's just kind of like, there's a little bit of a, like, novelty to it to me.
Yeah, time of day makes a big difference. So when they were doing a lot of those experiments, they would get there before sunrise to ensure that there's no heat or additional heat causing any interruption or any kind of evaporation that causes that shimmering layer that can cause obstruction. The other time was late in the evening, but by that time, all the heat's already been absorbed by the liquid and the ground. So there's ambient heat. Then doing it between seasons is also really crucial. Doing it either in spring or in autumn versus winter and summer will render different conditions. One of the most important things that I think we've discovered that hasn't been fully utilized yet is the infrared lenses on cameras. IR or infrared at the certain spectrums actually penetrate a lot of these obstructions. The dirt, the optical occlusions, the humidity. And with infrared, we're getting images that
super expensive, though?
No, the adaptation is probably a couple of $100 to your camera if you've already got the P900 or P1000. But effectively, once you've got that little lens corrected or you've got the IR attachment, you can now do infrared videos where infrared actually cuts through a lot of the haze. So Tolan Media
is it movable? Because I feel like I heard that once the infrared is on, it can't come off.
Depends on the camera. I know that the Sony has an attachment that you can clip on and off, but I think the P900s had to be a physical adaptation because you've got to take away a polarized lens that's actually on the inside of the camera or a polarized filter.
Yeah, I wish it was my camera. It's not mine, it's my buddy's, so I probably won't be doing that, but I might have to look into getting my own. But it's just, I mean, like, money, man. Those cameras aren't cheap. But I know, I'm motivated, so I'll probably end up doing it just to have the infrared, because then we can, I can still use his that's not, have the adaptation or whatever. Because I feel like the infrared, like, that kind of, it cripples the camera in a sense. It still helps with the observations and stuff, but you'll never be able to use it the same way you did before.
Yeah, it'll be a dedicated camera for a purpose. Yeah.
You guys ever heard of the Nikon D810A?
No, what is it? It's not high power zoom,
What's
is
its
it? Or
optical?
No.
What's its
No,
optical capability?
yeah, it's made for taking pictures of the sky at night. It has that thing built on it, but it's basically it's never bottomed the price of the D850. Like it was never a popular camera, but they say it's like one of the best cameras you can buy for solar observation. Not solar, just for like night sky observation. I mean, you hook it up to a telescope. You don't need to hook it up to a telescope, but it has that thing built into it already. So it's not like a great day camera.
So it can just like it's good at like pulling light out of dark areas, you know, so like you can get pictures of the stars and stuff with it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's Zafida. I think what this has just demonstrated by Conrad is that no one will convince you that the Earth is flat but yourself. And it's when you go and test it for yourself. When you go and find
I know it's
body
flat.
of water.
I know it's flat, though. That's the thing. I know it's flat.
Correct.
I just want this observation for other people.
Sure. But at the end of the day, they need to go to the water themselves. You can take a glober to flat water, but you can't make them think. It's
Right, but if the glober is already thinking and then they see it, then they see something from somebody that they know that did this themselves. It's more compelling, in my opinion. That's why. It's not just. I'm not trying to like prove anything to myself. I have people in my life that are seriously questioning what they believe, and I feel like with an observation done by me, that someone they know, it'll be more evidential, or you know, there'll be better evidence for them.
Be careful; those cameras are addictive, dude. Like really addictive. When I got the P1000, I had the same philosophy as you. I'm gonna prove to all these people, and I would stay out all night just staring at the stars and the moon, like hours and hours till my fingers were numb, bro.
Yeah, well, thankfully it's not my camera, so you know it's my buddy's. He's the one that showed me Flat Earth, and he's had it for years, and he never even uses it for anything. So like he's always willing to let me use it for whatever, but he doesn't really use it for anything. And it was funny, we were out there trying to get a view on it or whatever, and like a bunch of guys from the National Guard were like doing some like training exercise or something because we were on like a walking path. They all came by, and then when we were leaving, we were sitting in the car, and they walked past like the whole. I don't know, there's maybe like 20 of them all walked past, and I had some Flat Earth cards, and I'm like, hey, I got some information here if you guys want to check it out. And then they just immediately like looked like I was gonna say like, oh, it's Flat Earth stuff, but like they just looked like weirded out, like, oh, what is this random guy talking to us for? And like none of them would take a card except for the last guy, dude. The last guy like saw everybody just say no, and I'm like, I'm not trying to sell you guys anything or nothing like that. I'm like, I'm just trying to pass on some information. That's all. You know, it's just a business card, you know. And then one guy grabbed one, and then as soon as he grabbed it, he was like behind everybody, and he like ran up to all the guys and like started showing it to them. So I was like, yeah, that little morning flat snack.
I just read about the P900. I was thinking about the accutations on it, right? So, like the Nikon D850 is, I think it's average to have like 400,000 accutations, whatever. And then the cheaper ones will be like 250,000. Some of them are even less. But so I was thinking like, well, this camera is very like light, and it doesn't feel as like as sturdy as like, you know, the Nikon DSLR. So I looked it up. I've never looked it up before. They don't even have accutation numbers on them. So I was like, wow, because it's digital, right? So,
what does accutation? What is
Like
accutation?
how many shutter snaps it has, basically. Like, you know, they say like a MacBook Pro only has like, I don't know, like maybe 2,000 or 2,500 charges until it doesn't work anymore. Far with like 250,000, 300,000 miles. So the DSLR cameras have accutations on them. It's like every shutter click you take, it's estimated. Some of them are estimated like 400,000. The highest would be like 500,000, and that's when you take really good care of the camera. And then like on P900 and P1000s like that, they don't have that on it. As long as you take good care of the camera, and the main thing is keeping dust from getting into the parts that like rotate and move. That camera, it said, will outlast its counterparts, but like, so it'll outlast it up to like 10 to 20 models later, which is unheard of if you have like a DSLR. But yeah, you just have to be really careful, like dropping those things or setting them down. Because like I dropped mine barely like a foot from the ground, and I was never able to see out of the focus part. Like, you know, you could look through the where you put your eye at, or you could flip out the screen, and like if you're like shooting something where you can't put your eye to the screen to where you look through. So you're looking at the flip out screen. I could only use that to take pictures from that point on. So it's like it was like really debilitating.
Conrad, can I ask you, what did your friend show you that made you discover the flat Earth?
Yeah, so it was back in 2017. I had this job, and he was the guy that was supposed to be working with me. And I almost quit the job, actually. It's kind of funny, so I would have never even found any of this out. But I toughed it out until he came back from vacation, and like the first thing he did was like he came up to me, big smile on his face, super friendly guy, and he's like asked me my name, and then just started like talking to me, asked me if I was into conspiracy theories, which I kind of always have been, you know, like the basic ones, 9/11, moon landing. I was into actually like Monsanto and some of the messed up stuff they've done over in California, and just, I mean, all over. They just completely messed up the farming industry. But then he asked me if I've ever heard of he said the mother of all conspiracy theories. And I'm like, what could that be? And I just thought it was, you know, he was talking about 9/11. But he just said flat Earth, or the Earth is flat, and I'm like, oh, you know, I didn't really like immediately say, oh, this is crazy, you know, like that's stupid, whatever. I never just like blew it right off right away. And I'm like, well, why do you think it's flat? And he just like told me a couple things, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but like Space kind of like mentioned how they fake stuff and how the pictures are CGI, and I'm like, I never had known the pictures were CGI. And he just told me like a few things, and then he gave me a video. He's like, just watch this. He's like, this is what I watched, and it like completely changed. Like it gave me a bunch of questions, and I went and started looking into the other things. And there's an interview, late night talk show interview, Dave Murphy. I don't know if you've seen it, but he just on a talk show. Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's a pretty good one for a new flat earther or new anybody.
Dave Murphy was epic. That interview, and then the subsequent ones that he did after that, he was so well spoken. He addressed the points very succinctly.
Yeah, man, and it's like 40. It's like 40 minutes long, dude, or something like that. 30, 40 minutes, and I'm serious, like dead serious. I was a flat earther by the end of it. Like I wasn't like, you know, oh, I don't need to look at this anymore. I know everything. I just was like, I need to figure this out. I need to know how this works. At that point, it just left me with so many questions, and I just kept going from there, and looked into it. I got really mad. Like mad at the world, like upset and angry for like a long time, and then upset that my family just didn't care or thought I was crazy, and took them like years for some of them to come around. But now I'm not looked at as like, you know, crazy anymore, because I have like a better argument than I did when I first started. Like I have a better like when people try to bring it up to me, I can defend flat Earth way better than I've been able to in the past. And like now, my family, like some of them, there's certain ones that they don't even like to be around when I talk about it because they're just like they get upset. They get upset because they can't defend the globe that they believe in. So yeah, man, that was the first video, but then he got me into ODD TV, and ODD TV, I kind of just like I got into a lot of like the truth in movies and like symbolism, and I kind of moved on from that point, and you know I've just been kind of doing research. It's been sporadic. I took like a couple years off. I had a baby, so I wasn't like super into like flat Earth anything, like watching anybody's videos and stuff. But I just recently, when not recently, but like a year and a half ago or so, when Austin Whitsitt started making like videos, like a few months before he went on his Clown World tour, I was like watching his videos heavily, and he put out a lot of really good, like eye-opening stuff that like really got me to keep looking into it and kind of pursue it more. And his videos actually led me to this Discord. So yeah, I mean it's been a long few years, but I definitely wasn't like into it like into the discussion side of it or anything, because I just was at the point where I thought everybody was just like, yeah, everybody I knew, like I was like, I'm never gonna find a group of like flat earthers or anything. Like I tried to do a flat earth meetup at my house. That was even on Mark Sargent's channel. Like I had my address on there and everything. That's probably still
What year
on
was
there,
that?
but
What year was that?
huh? The
was
flat
that?
Earth meetup, that was in the winter, in December.
Oh, just recently?
Yeah, so it's probably still on there. I mean,
I think he said 2017.
yeah, it's a Minnesota. It was a Minnesota meetup, and he put like only 2 people showed up though. But one guy was from New York, and one guy was all the way from South Dakota. It was pretty cool, and they stayed for hours, dude. We talked for a long time.
If I would have gone to the Minnesota meetup, I would have taken a knee. You know what I mean?
Can I just link what you've just said, Conrad, back to Zafida? I just wanted to ask him if he knows any conspiracies that are true. Zafida, are you still with us?
With flat Earth versus globe, or in general?
No, just in general. Are there any conspiracies that you've looked into that you've discovered that they were actually true, whereas they were initially presented as completely conspiratorial?
I've never really looked into anything properly and made proper discovery. I don't go deep enough into that sort of stuff. I don't think I have the smarts for it. However, I think
Let me ask you just 2 or 3. So, do you think that the pharmaceutical industry is there to heal you, so that you never have to buy their medicines again?
Look, it's 50-50. The pharmaceutical industry has its benefits, but there is a lot of money makes the world go around, and a lot of people are hooked into it who would be better off. However,
And 9/11, do you think that it was a couple of Arabs with box cutters that took 3 buildings down with 2 planes, and that everything according to that narrative was exactly as said, and that they were going after weapons of mass destruction and not just simply attacking 11 countries in the Middle East to take over oil reserves? Do you think 9/11 happened the way that they posed it to the public?
oh, jury's out on that one. I think I'm of the opinion that 9/11 was a terrorist incident. However, if I was proven to be wrong, I would not be too surprised.
Thank you. And then do you think that the moon landing in 1969, with the technology that we have in a washing machine, that they were able to send a rocket with people inside 250,000 miles away, then from the same rocket take off again and travel 250,000 miles back to Earth with the people inside, yet today, or in this year, 2022, Elon Musk is still just shooting his rocket up into the atmosphere and that's landing once, and people are touting that as remarkable. So do you think man walked on the moon in 1969 using effectively the processing power of a calculator?
I don't think the moon landing was fake. No, I don't buy it.
I agree. I have to agree with him on that. It would have been easier to go to the moon than to fake it. I agree with you on that one, bro. I'll give you that one.
Oh, that joke again.
It's hard to prove, actually.
It's easier to go there than to fake it. All that paperwork and all those people. Come on, bro. All the paperwork alone. I mean, come on.
So it wasn't a joke.
So
People actually said that. People actually said it. Well, it was easier to go than fake it. That's actually a globe argument. That is not a joke.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to be a millionaire than to fake being a millionaire. I mean, that's just simple logic, right?
Okay, so the reason I was asking Zafita these things is that those are probably the most simplest, the most easiest to debunk in a matter of 30 minutes. If you chose to look into any of those topics, the pharmaceuticals, the 9/11, or the moon landing, those three are generally, if you have the ability to see through the smoke screen that was presented to the public, then you're on your way to discovering the additional deceptions in the world, which then leads you towards the mother of all conspiracies, as Conrad so eloquently put just now. That generally speaking, if someone answers the way that you just did to those three conspiracies, and they believe it happened exactly the way that the government narrative said that it did, then there's no way that you're going to conceive or be able to understand the type of deception that's been enacted on the public to make them believe that we're on this spherical ball spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, but you can't feel any motion. You have to be able to see through some of the smaller lies. Crow 777 calls it the staircase of disbelief. That the first staircase is like the fiscal system. You understand that every dollar is actually an inflationary system designed to sort of make the rich rich and make the poor poorer. And the whole debt and interest system is not geared for every person to have access to credit. It's actually to lock you into lifelong debt, whereby you're paying the interest to all the rich people who offer their money as loans. So the monetary system, the pharmaceutical industries, the 9/11, other ones like your false flag shootings, all of these little things are these stairs. And as you discover one stair, you go up the staircase. And maybe you're still on stair number 1, but flat Earth is like staircase number 100. It's the top of the staircase. And you sometimes have to be able to understand some of these smaller deceptions to be able to get to the biggest one, whereby it's about removing your divine importance, making you think that you're an evolved monkey that came from primordial soup on a spinning rock that could be decimated at any point. So it doesn't matter if we drill every drop of oil out of this place and we pollute every drop of water because, hey, we'll just go to the next rock. That philosophy is designed to make people unaware of their significance or their importance in this design. That this place that we're in is so incredible, how every microorganism works in this food chain, all the way up to the top of the food chain, all the way through the food chain. Every little aspect of this entire creation has been so perfectly designed that there is no chance it could have sprung into existence by random chance. The way that they say it did is kind of like sending a tornado through a junkyard, and at the end, it must self-assemble airplanes and cars and make them be able to drive just from a hurricane randomly moving through a junkyard. That's the type of crazy assertion that we've been taught is the norm, that people assume evolution is the logical outcome, whereas the actual logical outcome is that this place is so incredibly balanced. In other words, if one thing goes out of kilter, everything starts falling apart. If you take away certain animals out of the food chain, the entire food chain collapses. So this chain had to sort of manifest all at once, or it couldn't have been possible, because if you take out one or two of the middle links, the entire chain falls flat. And that's the thing, that this 100th stair, when you reach the discovery that water is level, so that they call it sea level, and that sea level covers 70% of the surface of the earth. So for 70% of the surface it's level, then where does the sphericalness and spinning and rotation and all of this come into being is only through our optical limitation of our vision. When we look out at the horizon and we see things shrink with the distance, that's called perspective. You would draw a vanishing point, and then you would draw all your buildings coming towards you, getting larger and getting smaller and smaller until they disappear into the vanishing point. That's perspective. But they've hijacked perspective. They've used the laws of perspective and re-engineered them to be at that point where things vanish into the vanishing point. They assert that that's where the curvature begins. And when you go to that vanishing point, the vanishing point moves further away from you. And then you assume that the curvature now starts at that point, even though you've traveled horizontal all the way to the vanishing point. And when you keep chasing the vanishing point, you're always remaining on a level surface. But in your imagination, you're assuming that at that vanishing point, now curvature begins. So I would urge you to go look into bubbles in space. If you Google the topic bubbles in space, you'll see how many times they've caught bubbles coming up from astronaut suits or coming out of the equipment. And then you'll go and see NASA's Zero Buoyancy Lab, where they actually train underwater, and that they've got divers assisting them in their movements. Whereas water is inward pressure, like there's a compression pressure when you're underwater. Whereas if you were in the infinite vacuum of space, there would be this expanding pressure. You would want to go out into the vacuum. So it wouldn't make sense to train underwater for an environment that's completely useless. So bubbles in space, look up land.
It's like, motherfucker.
Helio.
You're hot making.
You show me Helio.
Show them what's made of. I want to ask Zafida though. In his bio, he has some kind of conspiratorial meanings. So how come you can't look into the stuff we're talking about?
To Flat Earth Solar talk.
You claim stuff in your bio about some other stuff that people would probably laugh at you. I would say the majority of people that is under the same consensus of the mainstream narrative. So can you explain that at least? Where does this come from? And then you seem to be reposing the stuff we present to you, the information.
This guy looked into Hitler and the things he said kind of made sense, and thought, oh, well, maybe he didn't die in Berlin. Maybe he did leave Berlin and went to
where?
Peru.
Argentina.
Argentina and Peru, yeah. There's the entire cities are named after him. There's streets named after him. There's the house that he grew old in. They know he lived there. But the rest of the world was fed a story that he shot himself. Kind of similar to Epstein. We were told, no, he killed himself.
No, Epstein didn't kill himself. I full believe Epstein didn't kill himself.
So you do understand that there are conspiracies that are true. So there's hope for you. That's good.
No, I think, I don't know. I'm going to hold out.
So why I asked you about this is that there's certain people who want to know truth, and there's other individuals who just want to be convenient, or they want the convenience of not having to discover there was a lie. Kind of like if
these
bad
conspiracies
example,
doesn't
but
affect
if your
the
wife,
way we
I'm gonna
present
put
if your
information.
wife was cheating on you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I'd rather. I want things to be convenient. I don't want to know the truth because I think it might scare me.
I like the way you say the word scare.
I mean, truth can be scary sometimes.
Dude, I've been scared for a while, dude. I want to be a Glover again, seriously. I'm not even joking.
Dude, it's kind of
Well,
nice to be
living in lie won't make your life better. That's for sure.
So I was going to use an analogy like if your wife was meeting this guy every week and you know that she's meeting this guy every week, you can tell yourself that they're just friends and you can continue to believe that lie. Or you could do a little bit of work and maybe find out if there's more to that relationship with your wife. And if you found out that there was more to the relationship with your wife, would you still continue to sit on it? Would you still kiss your wife every day when she comes home after giving some other guy pleasures?
Yeah, I
Or
see your point.
would you want to know the truth about what she's really doing? And if you found out the truth, would you then do what you would need to do to be able to live with a clear conscience? Or is it more convenient to just say, you know what, she's my wife. I don't care how many guys she's with in the week. As long as she comes home to me at night, I'm happy because she's my wife. And that's the kind of question of if you found something that was not lining up or not congruent, if you found some, like Epstein, what about Epstein made you think that he didn't kill himself? You found something that didn't line up with the rest of the information. Then you started to dig a little bit, or maybe you found something or got shared something. And then you discovered, wow, the narrative that they're telling us versus what this other information shows are conflicting. And then you have to make a choice. Do you want to chase after the truthful, or do you want to just accept? Because, they put it on CNN. So therefore, verbatim, if I just repeat what CNN said, that must be the truth. Because CNN would never lie, never about anything. Or do you actually want to know what is happening? Now, you've already answered saying you choose not to know the truth, which I personally can't understand that logic. I will chase truth no matter where it leads, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me, no matter, there's conspiracies that will completely shatter your mindset about human beings. There's negative ones and there's positive ones. But I'm the type of person who wants to find the truth and will keep
What about
searching until I do.
coronavirus? Is coronavirus biological warfare?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Can I get a mic check quickly?
Yep.
All right. I've been listening on YouTube for a little bit. Welcome to the servers of PETA. And I just want to highlight that I'm impressed with your honesty, right? Because what you said was, I'm not sure I would want to know because I think it would scare me, right? And this isn't something that a lot of people admit, but it is the case for an awful lot of people, right? We get a lot of people here who are intelligent, who are educated, who refuse to look at this. And it does come down to that uncomfortableness, that fear, right? Because you said a little bit earlier, I don't really look into this kind of thing. I don't think I'm intelligent enough. But just listening to you have the conversation over the last however long, I don't think that is the case. You sound like an intelligent, reasonable guy. I mean, the fact that you've been able to listen and have the conversation so far shows that you're intelligent enough to understand when you're speaking to real people about a real subject, right? And you've been presented evidence and you haven't freaked out, right? Look at that guy earlier, Grayserve or whatever his name was, right? He came in, he said, oh, I've got a degree in physics, I've got a degree in engineering. I don't even doubt that he does have those degrees, right? He's probably an intelligent guy, but he was scared, right? He was emotional. So even though he heard the points and he wanted to be unmuted, and we said, okay, you're unmuted, give us your rebuttal, he couldn't. He couldn't give us it. He wanted to just kind of say, oh no, I can't believe you guys muted me, and have this like emotional complaint. But you deserve credit because you're very honest to say I'm hesitant to look into this because it's scary, and I think it's the case for most people, right? It is a scary thing to look into because it is like having the rug pulled out from under you in the most extreme way when it comes to your entire worldview, right? So you're smart enough as well to recognize that this is a threat to your existential understanding, or what you think is an understanding of your position in this reality and what this reality is. But when you think about it, I mean, I would challenge you just to steel yourself in this regard and say, okay, this is scary, but I'm going to jump into it like a challenge, right? Because I don't know what your circumstances are in life, and I wouldn't presume to know, but in general, what most people are given in this life is a 9 to 5 and a family, right? If you're lucky enough, okay? There's not much opportunity for adventure, discovery, or wonder in that paradigm, but you get comfortable, right? So you want to stick to it, you want to protect it, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm not having the most fun in life, maybe I'm not like having an exciting time, but this is fine for me. But this is a real opportunity for you to go on one of these journeys that is kind of hard to put into words or describe, but it's the kind of journey that you think of, that you would read about when you're reading about some of these figures in history. Like, it's not an exact comparison, but you know, you think about things like Buddha and stuff, right? And he's talking about the journey to enlightenment and all this kind of stuff, like these intense journeys, which when you read about them in our modern paradigm, they make much sense, and you're kind of like, right, okay, so he's just, I don't know, abstractly thinking about or the nature of spiritual, mental, and physical adventure to go on, right? This is an opportunity for you to have a whole new view on what this reality is. Because as F.E. Solar was so eloquently describing, we are given a very specific paradigm of materialism, right? Of accidental creation on a spinning ball. And that's one way to view things, but it is by design a depressive way to view things, an accidental, meaningless way of viewing things. So I would just say to you to capitalize on your awareness that it is the fear that's putting you off from examining this, right? It's not that you've heard arguments today which are crazy or dumb. You've probably already realized that they're not crazy or dumb. They're good arguments. Water is level. Water is said to be 70% of Earth's surface. The positive claim of curvature and motion is on the globe side, and we see too far. There is no physical obstruction as predicted by the globe model, right? These are solid arguments. So just hold on to that awareness that it's only the fear that's preventing you from exploring this further. And decide for yourself, challenge yourself, right? Do I want to have this potential ground-shattering information withheld from me based on my own fear, or am I going to be brave and am I going to investigate it, right? Because if it's not real, it's not real, and you can go back to whatever you presumed to be the case before, right? No, then you haven't lost anything. But if it is real, it's the most important information that you've never examined. Right, and you say maybe you're not into conspiracies and all this kind of stuff, but we're not really. I mean, that's like a kind of a bit of a buzzword, a negative buzzword that's been foisted upon these kind of topics. What we're talking about here is the reality in which we exist. Okay, the nature of everything. And if we have a total incorrect idea of what that is, then it's going to impact us in every area of life. So you owe it to yourself to say, okay, I'm not gonna let my worries or my fear put me off looking into this. And I would also say, you'll be surprised, because when everyone gets into this, it is scary and it does feel crazy. And Conrad was saying earlier, he was angry. You do go through those phases, but when you come out of it, everyone is glad that they looked into it. I've never met a flat earther who said, I wish I'd never looked into it. They all come out saying, my life is better. I have a greater appreciation for everything around me, the people in my life, the world I inhabit. I'm more amazed every single day, and I never stop learning, right? This rejuvenates people. Okay?
Yeah,
So
I could even argue that I could even say, sorry to interrupt you, just really quick, but since you mentioned my name, I could even say that my life kind of went downhill when I stopped caring about the topic, because there was a portion, within the last 5 years that I just didn't care. So like, and my life was terrible. But once I got back into this discussion and the topic, and just like realizing the importance of the whole thing, it's definitely changed my life for the better. So sorry, you can.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, by the nature of the story that we are told about the globe, evolution, accidental creation, it's not accidental that people feel apathetic and meaningless and depressed. It's built into the creation story that we've been given. Right? You are accidental by definition if you assume a Big Bang is how everything came to be, unless you believe it was started by divine agency. But in general, this theory is supposed to propagate an apathetic worldview, because then the people who are in charge of this place aren't coming up against people who have strong conviction and a strong desire to have their own agency. They're kind of just floating through life like, well, it's all accidental, it's all meaningless, so whatever they want to do, as Solar was saying, they want to drill every drop of oil, they want to pollute every drop of water. What am I going to do? I mean, it's all meaningless anyway. So, I mean, I know this was a bit of a long ramble, but Safida, I just wanted to give you some credit for even being able to articulate that barrier of fear, because it's so prevalent in so many people, and they either don't realize it or they don't want to admit it because they think there's some shame in it. But there's not, right? It's totally understandable that this is the most groundbreaking, earth-shattering, literally, subject that you can come across in life. And like Solar was saying, it's probably a good idea to get into something like the moon landing for you, because, I mean, if you still believe that 3 men from the United States military in 1969 flew in a tin can 500,000 miles there and back and played golf on the moon, you're going to have a hard time understanding that they've deceived everyone, right? The reason that deception is in place is so that they can say, hey, we went and checked and Earth is a ball, right? No one else is getting that viewpoint. That's their actual story. Only the people who traveled to the moon in the 60s and 70s have actually seen the Earth as a ball. They don't even claim that the ISS would see the Earth as a ball, right? According to the maths of the globe model, you wouldn't even see curvature from ISS height. So their story is literally like 25 people have seen the globe, and you just have to believe the US military on that. So when you really get into this, it's a whole crazy thing. It's a bottomless pit of learning, right? Because it covers everything by its nature, because it's Earth. It's science, physics, geometry, religion, philosophy. It literally goes through everything. But you sound like an intelligent guy, so don't put yourself down and be like, oh, I can't figure this out. You can. It's actually more simple than you think when you start breaking it up into manageable chunks. So what I would advise for you is to check out the additional information channels below. There's introduction channels. I don't know if you've been directed to those yet, but they're all alphabetized. So you've got things like curvature, motion of the Earth, gravity. Someone will link those to you in the live stream text chat, I'm sure. But there's introduction videos, all this kind of stuff. And come here and ask questions. Just be like, okay, well, what about this? I've been told this shows that we live on a spinning ball. How do you guys view that? And we can have the conversation. Sorry, that was a bit of a ramble, but I just wanted to highlight that you you are good to recognize that barrier. It's fear, it's emotion, it's attachment to what we already think we know, rather than the cold hard facts and evidence. And that's what we deal with here. And we're not used to that because in school they don't really teach us to stick to the evidence, to the logic, to the empirical verifiable evidence. They tell us stories and they say this has been verified by someone. You'll never be able to verify it, but trust us, this is what we know. Okay. Also, just on another side point, if any of the mods are in, I'm driving at the moment, but give Flat Earth Solar Gold Plus because he must be on gold for a while.
Great
Yeah,
point there, Wolf.
I listened to all that, and I do appreciate your comments.
Yeah, I second that, Safida. I think that you're honest and intellectual, and that you have, I would say, the wherewithal to be able to discover this truth if it becomes a truth that you want to know. It is like you said, it's a scary thing. If you find out your wife's cheating on you, now what do? It's a scary place to find yourself. Do you now work on the marriage? Do you get divorced? But it means you've now got to do something. And most of us are simply presented with something and told that it's the truth. Whereas when you actually go and look at like a Jeffrey Epstein scenario, you can find the evidence that contradicts it. So then you have to trust either you're good enough to go and find the evidence, or you just have to accept what someone gives you. And when you discover that you actually are capable of finding your own evidence, to me, it was the greatest thing. It's unlocked my entire life. I am so happy because I discovered the truth. Yes, there's a bit of a rocky patch in the first few weeks, but when it really sinks in, the whole purpose of this is that you are special. This
It's
place
got
that
a
we're
lot
in
of parallels to discovering religion. Like, I've heard a lot of Muslim converts describe their process of discovering God the exact same way. Like, finally discovering the truth.
What I would say to that just quickly is there maybe are some crossovers, right? But it depends what you think about that in terms of how the person comes to it, right? We're not talking about some kind of philosophical switch that's just changed because you've had a different outlook on things. We're talking about discovery, like physical discovery, right? Scientific discovery. But by nature of this discovery, as Solar was saying, it leads to intelligent design, creation, right? The paradigm that we're given today is accidental creation through the Big Bang. That only creates a spinning ball, right? If Earth is not a spinning ball, then it's not the Big Bang. And the ontological primitive, the two choices that we have are either it's creation through natural means, quote unquote, i.e. the Big Bang, accidental, or it's intelligent design, right? No one really argues that point. That's what the dichotomy is in terms of how all this came to be. It's either Big Bang, accident, or it's creation. And by understanding, by proving to yourself, which you can do, that the surface is not curving or in motion, it rules out a globe, which consequently rules out the Big Bang. And then you free yourself up to be able to understand and explore creation, right? So a lot of people who come to this, they weren't religious, right? But they then understand, and they're still, like a lot of them still aren't, right? A lot of people who understand that the Earth is a level stationary plane still don't ascribe to like a mainstream religion, but they understand that they inhabit a created environment, right? Whatever you want to think that created environment came from, if you want to call it God, I mean, that's on you, that's your journey. And really, this is where And this is where this subject really takes off and comes on to another level, because it's one thing disproving the globe model that we've been told, but it's the question of, okay, so what next? Where am I now? Okay, so what does a stationary level Earth imply about our reality? And you'll come to find that what it means is that it's the second option, right? It's intelligent design. And again, that's another aspect that can be scary to a lot of people. But my advice, again, I mean, I had these hesitancies a few years ago as well. It's like, damn, I mean, this is like concrete. It's designed, right? So that can be a scary thing for people, but as a human being, this is the journey, right? The journey of life is to take on challenges and to face hardships. And really, if you really want to live it, you've got to dive into those rather than shy away from them. So you've got to charge forward with that and say, okay, I'm just going to try and disprove everything. And anything I can't disprove, that's what I'm left with. And if I can't prove or disprove something, I will be happy saying I do not know, right? Because this is another big thing. There's plenty of things that we can't know. On the globe side, they give us stories to fill in these blanks. And a lot of people think, well, I know that because I've been told it. You have to be mature enough and strong enough to say, no, I don't know that. I believe it, maybe, but I don't know it. And there's a lot of this when it comes to understanding that the Earth isn't a globe anymore. There'll be a lot of gaps that you can't physically verify. Now, you can verify physically that it's not a globe, but there are still a lot of things that you can't have an answer for because it's beyond the realms of our physical understanding. So you might hear people talking about religion, you might hear them talking scripture, because whether you think it's coincidental or not, pretty much all of the scriptures describe a flat, motionless Earth. Every culture in history has essentially described a flat and motionless Earth with the luminaries moving above us in predictable cycles throughout the year. So it's not a religious thing per se, right? The argument isn't based on scripture or religious belief. The argument is based on observation and measurement. But naturally, it leads to that discussion because it shows creation, right? And this is part of the reason why it's so hidden, right? Probably one of the reasons, the main reason why they have tried to hide it from people is because it's almost irrefutable physical evidence of creation, intelligent design, right? But I mean, this is another level to get into, and for yourself at the moment, I would recommend sticking with the physical evidence, the observations, the laser tests. You need to be figuring out how you can prove or disprove your belief in the globe. That's where you should start. Or be agnostic for a while and enjoy not knowing, right? Don't be afraid to say you don't know. That's just my not quick response to the whole religion argument side.
Yeah, if I can just add one quick thing, it's that religion is man-made, but the Creator's creation, that's something separate. Now, I'm sure most of us growing up, we found that religion can be distasteful. And everyone is now fighting over whose religion is right, and those are all man-made constructs of, hey, these many Hail Marys, or you have to say so many prayers facing eastward every day, or there's all these man-made constructs that are layered on top. What we're saying is that this links you back to this creation, the same with like a painting. When you see a painting, you know there had to be a painter who painted it. When you see the creation, you know there has to be a creator.
Oh, well, I'm going to bed.
Hey, Are anybody? Sorry, this is off topic, but any Australians in here right now?
Yeah, I'm one.
I heard this from somebody. I don't know if it's true, but it's did they pass a law or something that you guys cannot grow your own food, or some rules about growing your own food or something?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you
Okay,
can
because
grow
this guy
as
sent
much
me.
food as you like.
Yeah, this guy sent me it looked like an article. It said that Australians can't grow their own food. That was like the headline, and I'm like, that sounds like crazy. Like I was like, I'll ask somebody from there. I'll definitely have to let him know because he's like just believes almost everything he reads.
Hang on.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, there are places where they say you can't collect your own rainwater and filter it because
Yeah, that's
property
we
of
have
the
rules
government.
on that here. Yeah,
You can't even
we can't
collect
do that here.
rainwater.
We can't have wells. I mean, like nobody can have wells, and that's crazy. You can't pull water out from the ground. Like, what's wrong with that?
Oh, there's
Well,
this new deal.
legally, I mean, if you own property and you
Kind of off
build a
topic,
well, you can actually do that. I mean, like dig a well.
Not where I'm at. Not in city limits.
See, well, you can't do it in city limits. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
But
saying.
that's a crazy thing. We had a well, and then we weren't in city limits, and then they moved us. Like they moved the city boundary, and then they made us cap it.
Well, as far as property goes, though, how deep into the ground does the property limits go? It's like, do you own how far
Right. I
below
thought, doesn't it go
the
all the way?
ground
I would assume it goes all the way
does?
down and all the way up.
But actually, that's actually true. If you own property, on any part of the earth, as deep as it goes, you own that property. As far as I know, and maybe I've been wrong about this. So, in vertical, it's a vertical thing.
No, I think it's
You're
the opposite.
standing
They
here.
talk about mineral rights. If there's minerals or anything found below your property, it's the government's property.
No.
The mineral rights belong to the state.
Okay, well, man, if somebody has something else to say about it, but as far as I know,
What
the
is
land.
strange, I always wondered why,
Go ahead, brother.
The governments prevent you from planting fruit trees in public. So they're always planting new trees along the roads. And I always wondered to myself, why
Their
don't they plant
land.
apple
That's
trees
their land.
and peach trees? And then someone walking on the way to work could pick food and be fed that day for not having to do anything. And they've actually made it law that you're not allowed to grow food on public land because it could cause someone one day to have a bad reaction, or maybe if they eat old fruit, it may be bad for them.
When did the public become so paranoid about eating fruit from a tree? Now, if you're,
it's the same with wasted products or expired products.
Yeah, it's just like it's
So
really
in
the
South Africa-
trees. Like in I've been to Phoenix, Arizona. There are orange trees on the streets, right? Those oranges aren't really good. I mean, you wouldn't want to eat them anyway. They don't taste good. They're really sour. I mean, you can pluck them off, and they just don't taste good. They're just really sour. But real orange trees, grow. It's like people in California roam in their backyard.
It
Yeah,
just
I've
links
thought
to
about
the
this
false
before.
publicity. Sorry,
I was in Arizona and I ate one of those oranges.
Listen, I mean, I'm sure it's a point that's been raised here before, but yeah, exactly like Flat Earth Solar is saying. I mean, think about the dent that could be put in the difficulty of homeless people's lives if all of the trees and all of the bushes that were lining the pavements were fruit bearing or food bearing, right? If there was really an interest, if there was really an interest in combating, hold on, David. If there was really an interest in combating hunger wherever it is and homelessness and people's quality of life, this is such a viable option that, I mean, it kind of shows their hand. The fact that they don't do it. And just quickly, could someone check if there's any new people. I think there was a guy, Prime Timington or something, who isn't verified. Does someone want to unmute him and see if he's got any questions or wants to raise any points about the Earth?
Did the other guy had to leave? I didn't hear him.
Yeah, no, the other guy said he had to go to bed.
Oh, okay.
So he's gone. But he sounds like, you know, he's a rational guy. He could have the conversation, so maybe he'll be back.
Yeah, I think he needs to do more research. He posted some YouTube link where an imam is claiming that the Earth is a globe. So I mean, you know, he needs to do more effort.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's just totally
researching.
He's totally new to this. He still thinks the moon landings are real, but.
Yeah, that's why we're here. We actually want new people to join every single day, and we do have dozens of people that join the server every day. And
so in that vein, I've just unmuted Prime Timington. Prime Timington, are you here? Can you say hello? Prime Timington. I think that's your name. No.
And if someone comes in and they're like kind of curious or they're unwilling to open their microphone because they want to kind of see what's going on, and we're not here to try to convince anyone that the Earth is flat. We're just giving you the information that we've come across for several years. It's not like this isn't a church or a freaking religion.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, we're not preaching to anyone. So Prime Timington, I'll pop you back on mute. Maybe you're just listening. But if you do want to ask a question or you want to get involved in the conversation, you can jump up to VC check-in 1 or 2, or put a message in the lobby or debate and ping a mod, like tag a mod or gold or silver, and let them know that you want to be unmuted, and we can unmute you and have the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, it always starts with the open ideas. Like, hey, I'm wondering why people think the Earth is flat. If you really have that genuine question, I'm curious about why people think the Earth is flat, and you don't want to argue with us, and really.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be an argument. It never has to be an argument. That's the whole point,
exactly.
Right? It can just be a discussion, just open questions, this kind of thing. But he seems like he's in here and he's listening. So if people do want to just kind of talk about how they came to Flat Earth, some of the intro points and this kind of thing, I'm sure it would be handy for him. We've also got Leo. Okay, no, I think he's maybe already FE. But yeah, so let's keep it to intro FE stuff, just since we've got some new people in. So if anyone's got a point they want to raise. Also, FE Solar, you've got Gold Plus now, so you've got access to the bot commands. So get into a call with one of the mods or something, and one of the other golds, and they can teach you how to use it just for the memes and get the command list and all this kind of stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, Wolfgang. Really appreciate that.
No, it's long overdue. Sorry, I thought you already had it, but I just checked and I saw that you didn't. So yeah.
Actually, I heard Wolfgang recommend it, and he was on mobile, and I went and gave it to you, Flutter Solar. So
thanks, Elio.
Thank
since
you,
I joined,
and bro, you've been here for a long time, so you're a trusted member.
Since I joined, I've been looking forward to the day where I can at least be able to mute someone who's rumpusing a room, or be able to play the bot if needed. So I've been downloading all the photos personally, and then I've got to scroll through 1 million photos on my phone to try and find the one that's valid. So this will save a lot of time.
Yeah, no, it's a massive time.
Are you on Bluetooth or your phone microphone? Your voice sounds pretty good. Just like your voice.
Hold on, just quickly. Could we check if Solar's got the DJ bot control as well?
Yeah, he has now. While you was talking about the DJ bot, I added it to your account.
Okay, cool. So Flutter Solar, when there's some dead air, if you want to play a song or some clip or something, the DJ bot role is pretty cool. When there's you want to make a point, you just talking about something and say, hey, listen to this. It's a few minutes long. Or if there's some dead air, you can play a 2-hour video, so people can listen to
Does
it.
it mean that I can also VC verify people going to VC check-in or not?
No.
Yeah, no, you should be able to VC verify. If you can't assign the role, then you should be able to use the !verified command.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Right, so using the bot, you just type in !verified and then tag the person, and it should give them the VC verified role.
Yeah, I forgot about that because I don't use the bot ever.
But you have to note that there's only the bot is only active in some of the rooms. So look at the rooms: lobby, debate, bot, audit, live stream 1, VC. There's a few rooms that it won't work in, so just make sure you're doing it in one of the rooms where the bot is. And you should also have access to CogDis. Have you got CogDis VIP?
Yeah, I think Gold Plus gives Gold Plus gives it.
Okay. Well, if he doesn't, let's maybe give him the CogDis VIP just in case. But yeah, you should be able to go into
Yeah, I will.
CogDis, see the crazy people. That's always fun.
I really.
But yeah, no, thanks, Solar. You're always, anytime I tune in and you're speaking, it's always great stuff when you're great with the new people. So it's long overdue. Thank you for everything you do on the server.
Yeah, he's solid.
Thanks, guys. I just always
You're
feel
South
that,
African, right? You're South African.
Yeah, correct. I've got lots of scientific friends, and we have this massive discussion every time, and they just simply can't see this. And as someone said earlier on today, we all made mistakes in the first few months when we were flat earthers, thinking that all you have to do is show one thing to someone and they're going to accept it. And that whole process has taught me to be a lot more patient and to remember where you were before you understood this truth, and how you'd almost been on autopilot your entire life. And then suddenly someone says to you, but you can make this decision. And you realize, whoa, turn autopilot off. I'm now steering the ship. Now I want to see where I'm going to go. And a lot of times, it's an ego fight. If you come in here with ego, their ego gets inflated, and eventually you're screaming over each other like Gravy Man was doing earlier. And it's, how do you ensure that the ego doesn't engage so that you can actually get the message across? My background is marketing, and in marketing, a message is only a message once it's received. Otherwise, it's just a blanket communication. But if you want a message to be received, it has to be able to be decoded by the receiver. And if the receiver cannot receive that message in the right way, it's fallen on deaf ears, like throwing the seeds onto the rocks that will never germinate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's important just to plant that seed, kind of like with Safida. I was saying to him, maybe take a couple of steps back down that staircase of disbelief. Start at the moon landing, start at 9/11. Once you're curious and you see that there is more to that, then the natural progression up the staircase can continue.
Yeah, and that's why I was wanting to highlight Safida saying, I've not really looked into this kind of thing because it scares me, because that's so much what it is. Like, not just fear, but as you say, ego and pride. But ego, pride, and fear are honestly the main barriers to this for so many people. And it was a great juxtaposition to have that Greyserve guy in before, because he was perfectly demonstrating that it wasn't about the arguments to him. It was like an emotional response. And maybe he'll calm down and he'll come back and he'll have another look, he'll think about it. I don't know. But the fact that Safida could not only recognize that in himself, but say it in a room full of like 20-odd strangers, you got to give credit to that, because I think even a lot of us probably had those similar kind of thoughts in the beginning, and we either didn't articulate them or didn't even recognize them. But he got it pretty quick. He was like, I'm not getting into this because I think it's ridiculous. I'm kind of not getting into it because it's quite scary. Like, that's a kind of brutally honest thing to say, and very few people will admit that. That's kind of why I wanted to highlight that from him.
Just to interrupt for a short bit, Flatter Soda, I tagged you in the gold text channel with a link to all the commands for the bot, so you can check it out on your own time. Okay. And added the CogDis VIP role, but I think Go Plus should actually give you that perm automatically.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to add a tag if you don't know if the perms are. That's what I was thinking. I was like adding tags. I was curious. Like, do silvers automatically have perms to post in the live stream? Post GIFs and links.
Yeah, I think everything above silver FE will give you image perms.
Yeah, that's what Anyway.
You know, what's amazing is Rory Cooper, my perspective. I was just looking in the chat now. He actually stays near me. And he was one of the first, I contacted Jeranism first and Bob from Globebusters.
Have you ever met up
Started
with
chatting
him?
with him. With Rory, yeah.
Oh, really? You know him? Like, you met up?
Correct, yeah. And I actually,
awesome.
he had disappeared off the scene in about, I think it was 2016 or so. And then late in 2016, 2017, I started contacting him and saying, we need more of his animations and we need a lot more stuff. And then he started revitalizing his channel. And just to be able to talk to someone here who had also put out so much brilliant content, it was just, when you hear about Flat Earth, you think maybe there's a handful of guys in the UK or maybe there's a handful of guys in Europe. But then when you realize that there's guys everywhere, every country has Flat Earthers. And sometimes they're only, I think Rory stays 20 kilometers from me. So it's
Holy
so
shit, that's really close.
amazing.
Dude, why don't
must
you
get
get
him
him
on
to come on here? I'd love to talk to him. That'd be
Yeah, I must.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about this place, right? I remember when I was getting into it, one of my first things was like, I can't really talk to anyone in my real life about this right now. I need to speak to people who have also looked into the same thing. And I think it's such a valuable resource because it can be quite an isolating thing if you're the only one in your kind of circle who's looking into this. They're like, oh my god, you get a reaction that you want to tell everyone, but you'll realize pretty quickly that that's not necessarily a winning move in the beginning. Like, you need to have your arguments so unlocked and your way of discussing it pretty well practiced before you start putting it into your real world circles, your professional circles, whatever. Of course, depending on what your circumstances are, some people are different, but that's why this place is so cool, because it's like, yeah, maybe there's a few people in this country, maybe there's a few people, but as soon as I came here, I was meeting people from the same country, from a few hundred miles away, and like you say, all over Earth. And it's the resource that we need, because we need every mind who's interested in this, in every part of the Earth, to be making these observations, to be testing these claims, to solidify our...
Yeah, I even found a Flat Earth meetup like a few hours away from me. It looked like I wish I could go. If I wasn't going to Missouri, I would have went. But it's like it looked like a pretty big one, like a camping event, like a whole weekend thing, Flat Earthers, and honestly, I wish I would have been able to go to that. And I've met so many people in here in this Discord that are from the Midwest, and I've only ever met, like, outside of the one person that's shown me the Flat Earth, I've only met like maybe 3 other Flat Earthers, other than the people that I've shown the Flat Earth to. Like, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot more than I thought, especially after coming here. And I plan to get because my buddy that showed me Flat Earth, he's just met a guy in Iowa who he's a flat earther, and he's got like a farm and stuff, and he knows a lot of other flat earthers too. So like I'm starting to find kind of a community of flat earthers in my local area.
Well, this is it. I mean, in the years to come, right? Think about it. I'm sure there will be, and there should be, like flat Earth festivals, right? Like people are going to be gathering in their hundreds, if not thousands, and gathering at places like giant lakes to camp over for a few days, giant salt flats, all bringing equipment, conducting tests. I mean, imagine everyone across this giant lake, just kind of all observing each other from all across the different parts of the lake, circling the whole thing, and all seeing each other, all flashing lasers, all doing this kind of thing, like a Coachella of flat Earth or something. And then at night you all hang out and watch NASA. You all hang out and watch
That'd be
NASA,
awesome, man.
and you all just laugh at NASA.
I would love to go to stuff like that.
I mean, think about it. That's going to be coming.
Yeah, and like I'm waiting for more like Midwest centered, because that one I just talked about was called the Midwest Flat Fest. It's on flatearthfestivals.com. I heard it on Mark Harding's channel, but I'm hoping like bigger ones will start popping up in this area, because it's hard for me to travel, long distances. Just like money and work and stuff, so it's hard for me to get days off, and like I wish I didn't. I wish I wasn't such a slave at the end of the day. Like,
Right. Well, I mean, the more work we do here, that's what it's for, right? I mean, eventually, there's no putting this genie back in the bottle. It's out now. It's just a matter of time until enough people have access to the information, right? Because for the most part, the reason it's not absolutely everywhere, although it is, but it's like underground still to a degree, is not because people have examined the information and dismissed it. It's because they've not had the opportunity. They're robbed of the opportunity as children of having this discussion, of being presented with the other side of this story and this information, right? So I'm getting that out there.
in your opinion, then, out of say 10,000 people, how many of them presented with the argument do you think would actually look at it logically and not just completely toss it out? You know what I mean? Like at least hear it out. Like what's I'm just asking for, we don't really have numbers, but what do you think?
It's total speculation. I mean, out of 10, I don't know. I mean, even if you got 1, right, that's enough. I mean, 1% of a population looking into this is enough, right, to make big change, right? So, I mean, we have this idea that so few people are actually capable of looking into this and understanding it, but I think it's more the case that the opportunity hasn't been there for them, right? It's the early years indoctrination that's the barrier, and the less to the discussion, right? These thoughts are not entering most people's minds unless it's brought to their attention. So the more people doing that, as we try to do here, 24/7, 365, the faster we're going to get to that point. I truly believe it's not a question of this being an insurmountable barrier for so many people. It's a question of the availability of the information and the number of people actually disseminating. So that's why I think what's done here on this server is a very underrated use of people's time. Like, I mean, a lot of us all put in a lot of time here, and I mean, I would just thank everyone for doing so, because it all contributes, right? All of this is working towards a greater good here. And even if it doesn't seem like it's sinking into the person that we're talking to at the time, there's an audience, right? And it's sinking in with someone who is just listening or lurking. I mean, the amount of messages I've had from people I've never spoken to, I've never even seen, speaking in text, and they've been like, thanks for doing this on the server, because it, and now I know, or now I'm questioning, right? So all the people, for every person that is not taking it on or seeming hesitant to even have the discussion, there are people who are taking it on, which is why it's important for us to remember all the time that, you know, there's an audience listening.
Yeah, dude, I got a lot of like flat Earth business cards and like pamphlets and stuff that my buddy made, and I'm thinking about just having him like make a ton more and just like flood our whole like county, you know, just like make it so like everybody that's around here has seen this information, because it like leads, they've got like YouTube videos on them, like decent ones to get people started and like get their minds thinking, and then it's got some like other stuff like good proofs, and then it's got the Dave Murphy interview, just like a lot of good information, and I'm gonna just start flooding them around like the whole area and just see like how many people I can get talking about it. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a lot of really open-minded people in this area.
Yeah, it's the ultimate topic for like guerrilla marketing, right? Because it's not like we're just talking about a vague concept that they then have to do hours and hours and hours of reading and research. Well, they do. But all we really need to do is to make them think about the natural world and to spur their interest enough for them to investigate the natural world. So, I mean, whether it's slipping business cards into books, a bookshop or a charity shop, or just sticking stickers on the lampposts, or putting some poignant graffiti next to bodies of water, you know, like sticking the curvature formula next to a beach on a railing or something. I mean, the opportunity for
Yeah, dude, I just got my moped back. So I have a little tiny like 50cc moped, and I'm just gonna cruise around and just like, you know, hand them to people that'll take them, and just like maybe leave one on a bench here and there. You know, I don't know if it's like, maybe I shouldn't do that because it's like littering, but at the same time, you know, somebody's gonna still, I feel like, have to pick it up and see it, or, you know, want to throw it away or something.
And, you know, there's a difference between the people who come in here maybe feel like they're in a debate as soon as they arrive and they have to defend their position, and someone just coming across a business card in their own time, in their private lives, and making the decision with no pressure from anyone else speaking to them at the time. You know, maybe I will look into this, right? So I dare say a lot of people will be open to looking at it.
They do say 24/7. They say 24/7 Flat Earth Live on them. Like, that, it wasn't in reference to the Discord at the time they were made. It was in reference because ODD TV, he used to have a 24/7 Flat Earth Live. I don't think he does anymore.
Yeah,
it was in reference to that, but it just
that's where
says,
this
oh, really?
on from. Yeah, this is what it came from, right? It started off with the ODD 24/7 chat, and then there was a kind of a 1.0 version of this server, and then now we're on this server. But yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's good. That's the kind
my buddy that made the cards, my buddy has told me about the 24/7 Discord before. He's told me like, oh yeah, if you want to talk to people, but I didn't actually like come in here until I heard Austin Whitsitt talking about being in here and stuff. Because like his videos really like got to me. A lot of the stuff he put out, like it really made me think about like the importance of my life and just like everything, and like, I don't know, he put it in like a different type of like perspective that I hadn't really ever gotten before from anybody.
Talk about balls. Whitsitt put his whole life on hold, got an RV, and just traveled around all of America flat smacking people in the streets, at the monuments. I mean, shout out to Whitsitt. He's put on a load of great content.
Yeah, dude, he's a beast. And then I was watching him before he started doing that, and when he started doing that, I was like sharing it on Facebook, and I was like, yo, look at what this guy's doing, you know, like he's just, you know, he's going all over the place, and he had to have gotten a lot of people thinking, man. He did a really good thing there, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, Austin is a legend. Shout out to Austin.
I actually even tried to go find him when he was in my state. I tried to go find him, and then I got to the spot where he was at, but he had already moved. And then I tried to look for him, and I couldn't find him, so I left. And then he went live again right after I was like driving away, and it was like an hour drive or like 2 hour drive from where I live, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not turning around. It was getting late.
I mean,
But
that's
yeah,
it.
I
And there's
tried.
some
I
weird,
tried to meet him there.
there's so many weird people who this topic spurs on weird neuroses and some strange tics. So I mean,
Dude, I know. I've seen people come in here, dude. They're like fake. There's like fake, these like fakers that come in here. These fake flat earthers, man. It's weird. You can tell that they're like
It's very
not
odd.
like honest.
I mean, Austin was going to be dealing with some
The
crazy
Antarctic
people.
guys, man.
Yeah. Sorry, just quickly, I can see there's a new guy. Oh no, okay, he's just dipped. Never mind.
Yeah, I love hanging out here too because it's definitely helped me.
Sorry,
Definitely
Connor.
helped me get my arguments down.
Someone tag that Sparks010 guy and tell him if he wants to come back and ask questions, he can be unmuted. But yeah. So we got another guy in. Band member. What's up, band member? Where you banned from? We can't hear you, band member, if you're talking.
Yeah, just want to listen in, see if there's anything new.
Are you new on the server? Or you been here for a while?
No, I've been here before. I've asked a few questions. I'm not a good representative for Globe, but I am curious.
Okay, you don't need to be a good representative for Globe because I mean, most people don't know much about the Globe because you're not taught much about it at school. But yeah, I mean, you should just ask some basic questions or tell us what you've heard or what you think about some of the information being shared on the server. Like, do you understand that the flat Earth is not a disk in space?
I'm sorry, say that last part again, please.
Do you understand that when we're talking about flat Earth here, we're not talking about a disk Earth in space with water falling off of it and stuff? Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand that part. I'm just curious if there's any new information aside from what's currently being argued. I can appreciate the current information up to a point, but after a couple of years, there should be some sort of improvement in the research.
In terms of like the measurements and the observations and things?
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, if you check the long distance observation channels and laser test channels, I mean, people are doing new observations all the time. But what are your thoughts on the long distance observations and laser tests and things that seem to be showing that we see too far, we shoot lasers too far? What are your thoughts on all that?
The laser test to me is not accurate enough. I mean, the laser does spread out over long distances.
Wolfgang, do you mind if I kind of interject here?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So, no, the laser test. Now, the implication, right? So, if you have a laser and very powerful laser, on one side of a body of water that is supposedly curving due to this ball model, right? Do you Before we even get into that, band member, is this your first time here? Obviously, I can tell just by the way that you're talking that you're familiar with the topic and you talked to others maybe before about this, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so don't call me sir. Anyway,
Okay.
All right, good. You can if you want to, but no, we're here trying to figure this out, just like everyone else is, right? So, if the Earth is a globe spinning in space and it's not a disk, I mean, nobody here, no flat earthers claim a disk spinning in space. That's not existing in space or whatever. Now, what they tell us about this globe Earth, third rock from the sun, is that it has a certain radius. So we do these laser tests to try to prove whether or not there's a hump of water between the laser point and the target, right? You understand that part of it?
Yeah, I understand it, but I guess I've seen and heard a lot of this is what it isn't. Um, I'm just looking for refinement in the measurements for flat Earth. I guess that's what I'm really looking for.
Well, see,
To
it's
see.
really easy. It's really easy to discover what their claims about globe Earth is, right? Because they told us that that has a radius of 3,959 miles, circumference of 24,901 miles, approximately. Right? It can vary depending on their clues, but that's. I mean,
Well, I understand that
all of
part.
us grew up knowing, the solar system model and all that kind of stuff, right? But the specifics about that model make the Earth, third rock from the sun, 3,950 miles radius, 24,901 miles in circumference. So we can test whether or not, since most of the Earth is water, right? We can test whether or not that the Earth, due to gravity, is these bodies of water are curving around the Earth due to gravity, right? This is what you were told. That's what I was told when I was growing up.
Yes, of course.
All
But
right, cool. So we do these laser tests across lakes. I mean, a lake is the best place to do it because there's no tides involved. The lake is just, depending on weather, the lake can undulate. There could be some waves on the lake, but for the most part, a lake is contained, right? So you put a very powerful laser on one side of a lake, and you can hit a target 25 miles away on the other side of the lake. How's there any curvature in between? It would be shining into a hump of water from 25 miles away. You wouldn't be able to see that laser from the other side of the lake.
yeah, I did watch the video and I did read the one paper on it, and I I liked the paper because it was trying to lean towards more positive data as opposed to it's not this, therefore it's flat. I guess that's what I'm looking for. Is more, this is why it's flat, and this is what we found.
Sure, I mean that's not the only one. That's not the only. I mean, the laser experiments, or you can call them experiments, or they're just tests. It's just like, hey, I have a very powerful collimated laser that I'm shining across a lake, 25 miles, and yeah, so I captured it. Now there is what's it called? Oh, shit, now I can't think of the word. There's expansion. I mean, from the source light, they collimate the laser so that it can travel as far as it can without expanding. God damn.
Diverging.
Diversion. Yeah, beam divergence. So this test was done. I'm losing it right now. By FE Core. They shined a laser with with beam. The beam divergence would be about 3 meters from 25 miles. Now, hitting a target 3 meters, whatever, but really it doesn't matter. If you can see that laser from the source point across 25 miles of a big ass lake, that lake's doesn't have a hump of water due to gravity.
That test wasn't. I guess there's something about it that I haven't really. Something in the back of my mind is telling me something's missing. I don't know if that's just me being biased.
They're going to tell you refraction. That's what they're going to tell you. Now, whether or not that's proof of anything, that's something else. Now, Earth itself presents itself as a level stationary plane. Now, what they do with that test is try to what they're trying to do is show you that the Earth is what they told you it is. Well, when you can see this laser from 25 miles away while you're standing on the shore, if you were standing on the shore, the other side of the lake, if what they're saying is true about the globe, you would see that laser pointing up in the sky. It looked like the frickin' Batman signal. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like on the other side of the curve, it'd just be pointing up in the sky from your perspective, 25 miles away.
No, I understand that part. It's just that, like I said, I'm just looking for if there's anything. It's been a few years, about 2 years for me. If there's been any improvements on showing positive claims as opposed to the globe measurements don't match up, therefore it's flat. I guess that's what I'm not liking. So
I get that. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody else was good.
Well, let me just jump in quickly just to kind of clarify, right? Because the tests we're talking about, they're about testing the globe claim specifically, right? They're not necessarily about evidencing anything more than testing the globe claim of curvature when we're talking about surface laser tests, right? So when you're saying is there anything more, I mean, there's endless amounts of information to look at with regard
hundreds and hundreds of videos.
But the tests that we're talking about in particular, I suppose we need to get to the crux of what you're thinking. Like, you understand the FE core laser tests, what they did, the distance that they did it. The beam divergence, as Helio says, is like 3 to 4 meters over 25 miles. So it's not enough to compensate for the claimed 90 meters or so of curvature that they claim is present over that distance. So when you're saying you're needing more, is it because you don't think that the 25-mile laser test actually disproves the globe claim of curvature? Or is it that you want more information about, okay, so what is this place then if it's not a globe? Like, what's your position? Do you think it's possible for these observations to have occurred on a globe? Or do you understand that it's not possible on a globe? What would you say?
I guess I'm thinking that test should be done like a different time of the year, different time of day.
Different conditions. Okay.
Those people that did that test did it when there was very little humidity. They did it in the cold. They were freezing to death out there doing this test. There was very low humidity out there.
Yeah, I read that part. Yeah, it was. They did to wanted to reduce refraction. If there is any.
Are we talking about the FE core test?
Yes.
Yeah, those were done over 2 weeks at the ISOMER. So it's in 2 weeks' time they did multiple tests.
I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, they panned the laser. We're talking about the it's Lake Issel where they got the 25-mile observation. That's what the final. But they did the same test over that same lake. They did 5 miles or 5 kilometers or whatever, then panned the laser, and then they got to 25 mile, which is 40 kilometers. 40 kilometer. They were able to see the laser directly across the lake, and yeah, it was very, very cold. It was very cold.
Well, if you've checked out the laser tests channel that we've got down below, you'll see different conditions. I mean, people have been doing them over frozen lakes and all this kind of stuff at varying distances. The observations of the horizon, like the black swan. I mean, there's loads of different methods that people have used to test the curvature claim. But I suppose if you're saying that you've looked at them all and you don't think they do disprove the curvature claim, I would ask then, in your mind, what kind of test would you be envisioning that you would need to see to realize that?
I guess my approach would be if you get a different, let's say the Black Swan, they showed the one shot, and then they showed a different one. It looks like approximately the same location at a different time of the day. It looks like high noon or something.
So now
To me, it's not about what it's not about what proving flat or globe. Is that what am I seeing and why am I seeing it that way?
All right, here's something. Here, hold on. Let me do this. Here's something to consider. Let me ask you this question. What do you think the horizon is?
Well, the horizon is the point where it starts to fall away. Right? I mean, that's why things. That's why
Have you ever looked up the definition of horizon?
No, I haven't.
Well, go ahead and look that up right now if you can. Are you on your phone or a computer?
Okay, well, hold on one second.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that he's given that definition, shows that he does still think that the horizon is geometric. So obviously, we do need to spend.
Sure, that's why I asked. I want him to give me the definition of horizon. Yeah. Because this has been the problem the whole time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to elucidate as well. You maybe looked at them, but have you discussed them and kind of understood what they're showing? So.
Yeah, just look it up, band member. What's the definition of once you find it, I want you to read it to me. And you find the definition of horizon.
Okay, it says here on the first one, it's a line in which the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet.
Wow, cool. So it doesn't. So is it physical or?
In my opinion, I would say
I don't care about your opinion. What's the definition? It says they appear to meet, but they don't. Do you think the sky actually touches the ground?
Of course not.
Okay, then we're on the same page on this one.
Yeah, so by the definition, it would be an apparent position because it appears to be the line where the surface and the sky appear to meet, right? So, but you've got in your head that it's the point where the surface curves down, which is what they teach us about the globe, right? Ships are disappearing bottom up because they're going around this curvature, which is manifesting as a horizon. But because someone posted the Black Swan in the live stream, has he got VC verified actually? Yeah, okay. So can you see the live stream voice text, band member?
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, right in this voice room, there's an associated text room right above where you're talking.
Just above the voice channel, just above it.
Yeah, we'll post associated content there. But I don't see the Black Swan in there. But if you want to go through the Black Swan with them,
someone post the Black Swan, and let's make sure that band member can see the text channel. Do you see the text channel just above this voice channel, band member?
Yes, I was able to. Yeah.
Right. So the Black Swan's just been posted. It's the oil rigs. Now, do you agree with the premise of the globe model necessitating a physical horizon at 1.22 miles for a 1-foot observer? Do you understand what that means? Sorry, I'll give you a chance to read the image. Maybe you haven't read it before. Have you read the text at the top of that image?
Yes.
Okay. So it's basically saying that if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles, which is what they tell us, then the horizon, that point that we're told is the surface curving down, will be at a geometrically predictable height based on your observer height, yeah? Like you could draw a tangent line from your eyeball to that point of curvature that you could no longer see beyond, yeah?
Yeah, but there's another photo which looks approximately the same location, with the rig in the foreground is like halfway below the line there.
Yeah, so then how could it be physical curvature if it's moving in front of and then behind the rigs? If it was physical curvature, it would be in the same spot, wouldn't it?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Yeah, so if it's a physical position, the horizon, based on the curvature of a ball, how could it be behind them one day and then in front of them the next day? That would imply that the ball is changing size, right?
No.
So how could a physical curve be in front of them one day and then behind them the next?
Well, that's where, like I said, the science comes in. Again, I know refraction is a big, like a point there.
Right, but
That the book says.
refraction isn't claimed to do that. Refraction isn't claimed to move a physical geometric horizon in front of objects one day and then behind them the next. That's not what refraction is, or is claimed to be. Unless you have a citation or a demonstration of that. Have you ever seen a demonstration of that?
Well, doesn't light follow as it passes through certain mediums? That it does tend to follow.
But that's not saying that a physical obstruction like a hill could be in front of someone and appear behind them, because that would be saying that the light is bending over the person, and the light of the hill that's behind the person is overtaking the person or undertaking them and appearing in front of them. Yeah, it's like the light would be traveling faster from the hill than the object and appearing in front of it, right? That's not what refraction is. I mean, seeing the
If I
light
can just,
doesn't that. Sorry, go on.
I just wanted to add quickly to that point. When you look up the definition of refraction, it's always an object refracted with respect to the horizon. So it is refracted above the horizon or below the horizon. It never refers to refracting the actual horizon.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, so that's another important point, right? So given that refraction isn't moving the horizon, how could it be physical if it's in front of the rigs one day and then behind the rigs the next day? Wouldn't that tell you that it's not physical and that it's actually apparent, as the definition states?
The point where the sun meets the sky, I understand what that is, but like I said, light travels through the atmosphere does tend to follow the medium. So that's why that's the explanation why we see further.
Well,
Right, but
you have
one
no
medium,
demonstration.
right? But this is a different thing. It's one medium, and we're talking about the horizon, which you just said you understand that, or Flat Earth Solar just explained to you that the refraction is made in reference to objects in relation to the horizon. It's not saying that the horizon itself is moved, right? So given that, then the explanation of that's how it's the one day behind the next is invalid. So it's not refraction of a physical horizon that's making the horizon appear in front of them one day and behind the next. It's a factor of perspective. It's a function of perspective. Okay, so the globe model claims, as you can see in the black swan image, the horizon is supposed to be at 1.22 miles for a 1 foot observer. Yeah, do you understand that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but do you agree that light can be bent by certain mediums?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. Like if you're talking about a straw in a glass of water and that kind of refraction, then yeah, that exists. But that's two different mediums, right? Or three: air, glass, and water. We're just talking about air here, and the fact that light can change direction as it enters mediums of a different density is not equivalent to saying a geometric horizon can move behind objects that it's actually in front of. You understand that those two claims aren't equivalent. Like just saying, well, because I think light bends in certain conditions, this physical horizon that's supposed to be at 1.22 miles and obstructing this physical object can actually appear behind the physical object. Because that's not just light bending. That's saying that the light from the oil rigs, which is 10 miles away, is overtaking the light from the horizon, which is at 1.22 miles, and somehow reaching your eye before the horizon. So you're not just making a claim to bending light, you're talking about varying speed of light from objects further away through the same medium. Do you understand that?
That made no sense to me. All I know is that when the light hits the rig and it's reflected and it's traveling towards you, the observer, it does travel through the atmosphere, which is a medium, and it's possible that light is being curved.
How would that light reach your eyes? How would that light reach your eyes before the light from the geometric horizon at 1.2 miles?
That again, that makes no sense.
It makes no sense because it can't happen. The light of the oil rig 10 miles away can't reach you before the geometric horizon at 1.2 miles. The geometric horizon at 1.2 miles is closer to you. That light would reach you first. So that obstruction would always be in front of the rigs, not behind them.
Again, I don't know where you got that explanation from, but
well, that's what we're saying. That's what you're saying, because you're saying it's the light traveling. I mean, this is just a claim. It's like you saying there's a hill between you and me, and I'm on one side of the hill and you're on the other side of the hill, but somehow I can appear in front of the hill so that you can see me. Do you think that's possible?
No, I believe that if the curve is slight and you're not being moved ahead of the horizon, you're just the light is being curved and it goes over. Thus, it looks like you're seeing further. It looks like
no. It's not just seeing further. It's that physical point of curvature, which you believe is there, being in the wrong place and actually being behind an object that it's supposed to be obstructing. So in the same way that I'm behind this hill that's obstructing me, you're claiming it's possible for me to appear in front of that hill due to refraction.
No, I'm saying that you could see a little further past that hill because of
how is the oil rig appearing in front of the physical obstruction of the curvature then?
It's not. The light is bending around in order to see it.
No, it's appearing in front. The oil rigs are appearing in front of the horizon. The horizon appears beyond the oil rigs. Yes.
So you don't think refraction is affecting the horizon and the object?
We just went through this. Listen. Do you observe the horizon beyond the rigs in that image that was posted?
Your statement is implying that the horizon is not being affected by refraction.
Yeah, which you will not find a citation or a demonstration for. Have you ever found one?
No, I didn't research that far. But what I'm saying, with the way you're,
Make that claim. How can you make that claim then?
well, you're claiming that the horizon is not affected by refraction, and I think it is.
I'm claiming that the horizon is not where the globe model predicts, and you're agreeing with that, but you're making up an explanation for it, which you've just agreed you don't have any evidence for.
I think the horizon is affected by refraction.
Yeah, but you just said you don't have any evidence for that.
Okay, okay. About the only argument I've heard about that is that there are refraction tables when navigating in order to adjust for.
Wait,
for what you're
explain
listening.
explain these refraction tables that you're talking about. Explain those for us.
Again, it's not. It's just something I heard during other.
Oh, really? So you heard it from where? You're not familiar with these refraction tables. You're just spouting some nonsense from the anti-flat Earth community. I can come in here and say whatever I want because I know the Earth is a globe and these flat Earthers are full of shit.
Let me speak to them. Listen, I mean, that's the same thing as you just saying I don't have a demonstration or a citation because you've just said, well, there are refraction tables that I've heard about, so you've not really looked into them. But also, like we said, no one is denying refraction as it actually exists. But you're making a claim beyond what is claimed for refraction. You're making a claim that objects can appear in front of physical obstructions that they're actually behind, and that the geometric horizon is moved by refraction, right? But this is the claim that you've just said you haven't actually found any evidence for. So you're rejecting the observation taken in reality in favor of a sentence that you've heard that you've never seen or observed any evidence for.
I find okay. If you don't believe that the horizon is affected by refraction and only objects that you're looking at are, that doesn't make any sense.
Believe it? Why wouldn't we have evidence of it?
Everything we see is affected by light, and when that light travels through a medium,
but that's not
it
evidence
is affected by refraction.
That's not evidence for the claim. That's a general statement. We're asking for evidence of this specific claim, and it's not a case of we don't believe it. It's that it's not been demonstrated or proven. It's not on us to disprove something that's never been proven, is it?
So the horizon is not affected by refraction.
Well, can you provide us a demonstration or citation?
Well,
that would explain this? Observation of the oil rigs in front of the horizon and the horizon at 10 miles. Right? Because even if we look at terrestrial refraction and we go 7/6R, which is the refraction that you're actually talking about but haven't really looked into, that still doesn't give you a horizon at 10 miles. It would take a 1.2 to like a 1.4, 1.5. I mean, even if it was 2 miles, I would give you the benefit of the doubt. But it's not. It's 10 miles, right? That's way beyond what any refraction or terrestrial refraction would give you as a calculation. And even that calculation is begging the question because it's based on a radius that's never been evidenced or measured. But even given that, it doesn't give you the 10-mile horizon that we're seeing. So it's completely insufficient, right? It's not sufficient to say, well, because light bends when it goes into different mediums, which again isn't analogous because we're talking about one medium here, the air. Just because that refraction exists under certain circumstances doesn't mean that it is doing what you think it can do based on seeing no demonstration or evidence, just having vaguely heard the sentence said. Right? So it's not about why don't you believe it, it's about why do you believe it? What evidence do you have for it? And if you've got none, why would you entertain it? Why wouldn't you go with observable reality until proven otherwise?
The logic tells me that everything that we observe is affected by, I mean, of course, that we see because light is hitting it and it's traveling to our eyes. Everything is affected by refraction. So anyway, we're going back to the it doesn't prove globe, therefore it's flat. I've heard that
So
before.
do you
So I'm
concede
just
you have
looking
no
for
proof?
anything else new. That's why I listen a lot. I'm looking for new stuff.
No, well the specific point here is that the horizon that the globe model claims it doesn't exist, right? So that disproves the globe, right? I mean, if you want to imagine some other situation other than the globe model that they teach us, I mean, you're entitled to do so.